What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition, a late edition of the Sports Web. Sorry about the tech issues. You got to love it. I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show as we always do here on a Monday, Wednesday, anytime we have breaking news, whether it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Bay Lightning, which right now the Rays are down to the Chicago Cubs 4-2. We'll get back to that in a moment. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. So here they are. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, here live on Facebook, Instagram Live, of course, TikTok. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Of course, my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, which, Harry owes some people some money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
And we know who that is. Al Bushman will not be on tonight, but of course the Rays fell to the Baltimore Orioles in sweeping fashion, as Brandon Loud described, a kick in the face, a kick in the teeth. And right now, once again, the Rays are losing to the Cubs. At 10:30, we will have the return. Former XPW announcer, Mr. Mark Mancini, of course, and then the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, talking WWE action, AEW action, and as always, taking your phone calls. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully you can hear me. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's get out to my guest for the night, the legend himself, as we talk Tampa Bay Buccaneer football. Randy Gregory, a no-show. So is this a big deal, Bucs fans? And then, of course, some high praise from national media. You don't say. We will definitely get into that. And, of course, Baker Mayfield had some comments today. So he talked to the media, talked about Sterling Shepard. So we'll get into that. And once again, we'll keep you up to date on this situation, as hopefully the Rays can be the comeback kids as they were last night. They won in walk-off fashion. Can they do it again tonight? Without further ado, here's my guest. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. As we had a little bit of a tech issue, it's called live television. It happens sometimes, whether it's StreamYard or Facebook or Spectrum. It doesn't matter, my friend. We are here on a happy hump day edition of the Sports Web. Welcome to the evolution.
As usual, Peter, it is a pleasure to be on with the hardest working sportscaster and sports journalist in the Tampa Bay area.
Well, I thank you for that, and I was joking around, but I really wasn't, because I was doing my fourth job last night. I was Ubering people around in this mess of a monsoon. Where's my guy, Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News, because the weather was atrocious, and then on top of that, the hitting for the Rays last night was atrocious. So I do this show, I do Policy Scout during the day, I do the JP Peterson show, and we got an update right now. Is Jose Cabello has gone deep. Cabby with a solo home run. So now it is 4-3 Cubs over the Rays. So is it going to happen again? With that being said, speaking of a mess, Randy Gregory, no show once again, 2 days in a row. By the way, it's accumulating the money. If he misses tomorrow, it will be $101,000. $101,000. So is this a big deal or no deal at all? Should the Bucs just move on from Gregory? What do you make of this situation?
Well, Todd Bowles' response was, I can only coach the players that are here. That's got to tell me that they don't know where Gregory is.
Wow.
That's crazy. I just hope for the safety of him that he is okay. Because, you're dropping $100,000 out of your pocket That's, as Harry would say, 100 large. That's not good.
No, it's definitely not good. And I'm surprised by this. I know that he has a lawsuit versus the NFL and the Denver Broncos for the THC failure. Of course, we know that he's had, a problem with this. To me, it's not a big deal. Marijuana should be legal in the National Football League at this point, because we've heard from athletes, in the present and the past, how it helps. And another base hit here. So the Rays are definitely rallying with the catcher there on first. Once again, we'll keep you up to date on this situation as it's looking good. It's looking better and better here with one out in the bottom of the ninth. Rays versus the Cubs at the Trop, 4-3 down to the Chicago Cubs. I know he has a lawsuit, but really this has nothing to do with it. I mean, he has potential, but he's always had these type of problems that follow him. So if you're the Bucs and just, looking at Todd Bowles' comments, do you just move on? Do you go out there, get a veteran? Do you give somebody a chance, like say a Jose Ramirez, who you drafted last year, one of these younger guys? Or do you go out there and get a veteran and turn the page on a Gregory, in your opinion?
You just kind of wait it out here, Peter, because again, it's mini camp.
Yeah.
If this was training camp, now you got a different animal. But, you got 5 weeks till you really start really getting concerned.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that he surfaces somewhere and contacts the team. Because if he misses another one and there's no idea where he is, you got to be worried about his safety then.
Well, yeah, you definitely worry about something. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the comments here. Let's go out to the Tribal Troll.
Acknowledge me!
First again, he says, to a strong, hurry up, AEW is on. I'll do my best. Damn, intro is 15 minutes long. I'm sorry, I got to share it. And because Facebook, StreamYard, they're playing their games tonight, it has to be a little bit longer. But you know what? You're going to wait for it. You know why? Because it's the evolution of sports talk television. What is that, in case you're just watching? It's a TV/radio show with phone calls. Once again, phone lines are open if you want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Tampa Bay Rays, who are playing right now. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Oh, God, I'm out at 10:30. Evening, guys. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that. Christopher Cole, Cubs bullpen sucks. Rays bullpen sucked earlier on in this game with Garrett Clevenger giving up a 3-run shot to Bellinger, where the Rays have the lead 2-1, which is an anomaly, if you will, because they never lead with the 7th inning. They don't lead in many games at this point. So, again, we'll keep you up to date. And weed is okay, but steroids aren't okay. I mean, what do you say to Roger here? I know he's trolling, but, steroids are different from weed. Weed is actually going to help the process of CTE, of concussions. We've heard this from athletes before. I feel like eventually the NFL should not be fining players for the failed drug test. Where do you stand on this issue?
No, the NBA doesn't even test for marijuana.
Because 70 to 75% of their players do it.
be kind of tough to get 10 guys to play.
Right.
So, that's maybe why they do that. But, Peter, I think what the NFL is waiting for is for all 50 states to basically just have a national referendum and say, okay, we're going to legalize marijuana.
Yeah.
It's on the ballot this year in Florida to, legalize marijuana, medical marijuana. John Morgan from Morgan & Morgan, that's his pet peeve is why is medical marijuana not legal? So, yeah,
Well, I got an update here. I don't know if you're watching this game. Johnny DeLuca, the pinch runner, still second. So now 1 out. Rays with a man in scoring position to tie this game up. Taylor Walls at the plate. So once again, we'll keep you up to date. I'm not a hypocrite. The steroids definitely hurt your body, harm your body. And then on top of it, they are a performance-enhancing drug. They do help your athletic performance. They help you heal. They help you get stronger, correct? Am I not right about this? Or is this Roger once again trolling me?
Well, let's be honest, Peter. I haven't met a steroid that'll help you hit a baseball.
But it will make you stronger, will it not? Would it make you stronger?
No, but it doesn't help you hit a curveball. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make you hit it farther, maybe, but it's not going to be, okay, I'm taking steroids, and it helps me see the curveball better. It helps me, deal with other pitches. Now, it's more of a recovery thing.
Right.
Where you take steroids and you recover faster. Is that a performance enhancer?
I definitely think it is. Don't you?
I'm having trouble with the word performance.
Well, it definitely increases performance because we know when Bonds was on it, when he was on the juice, allegedly, but we all assume a guy that's, up in his age like he was at the time, hitting home run after home run after home run, 58, 73 consistently, and then eventually going down with father time catching. That's not a normal thing. It definitely helps hitters out, not only recover, but also get stronger. I get it. Bonds most likely was a Hall of Famer before he did it. And there's a lot of players out there that could be considered Hall of Famers before they did it. And that's why I say, why do it? Yandy Diaz with the bouncer moves the two runners on there to second and third with 2 outs here live at the Trop as Chicago's leading 4-3. But the Rays not only have the tying run on third, but also the go-ahead run on second. And the hero of the day, who was last night 0 for 4 like he was last night, Brandon Lau. You can't make this stuff up. Brandon Lau is coming to the plate here to do it again. So we shall definitely see. Roger says, thank you, Leo. I disagree with you on this, Leo. I think steroids is definitely performance enhancing. If you're going to make it an even playing field, then give everybody steroids. And that's the thing. Not everybody has the access to those steroids. And on top of it, the reason why guys do that is because they want to get a distinct advantage over everybody else. With that being said, let's talk about Lavonte David. He also visited with the media today. The veteran is entering his 13th season in Tampa Bay. 13 seasons. Can you believe that? What is the legacy, in your opinion, of Lavonte David?
Oh, he'll be up in the Ring of Honor. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
He will be there. The fact that you can play double-digit years in the NFL speaks volumes of, what your pain threshold. Because, Peter, I've said this to numerous people, numerous times, and on your show. In high school football, there's a winner and a loser.
Yeah.
In college football, there's a survivor. In the NFL, everybody gets beat up. That's why you got to take off Tuesdays, because these guys need time to recover.
And that is it. The Cubs win the game. Brandon Lau flies out to center field, and that is it. Not the hero 2 nights in a row. Rays lose 4-3. Tell you what, let's go out to this guy. Here we go. Mr. Harry the Greek, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with, of course, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty.
No introduction for the Greek.
I did give you an introduction. I gave it to you.
I'm kidding you. I'm kidding. I can't hear anything.
Oh,
hey,
wait. Wait. You can't hear anything? Oh, wait. Hold on. Did you hear that?
Oh, God. Please spare me. That's about to suck right there.
It is about to suck.
That's good enough to suck right there.
There you go.
I caught the end part of the conversation about the steroids. By the way, great show, guys.
Thank you.
But I just caught the last part of this. Talking about steroids in baseball, I don't know whose side anybody's on, but I will tell you this about steroids in baseball.
Right.
It's still, you're trying to hit a round object with a round object.
Right.
It's still it's the most difficult sport to play. This is the sport you go in the Hall of Fame if you hit and get on base safely 3 out of 10 times from hitting a baseball.
Sure.
But do steroids make you better? I don't know about that, Peter. It can make the ball travel longer, i.e. what happened to Barry Bonds and everybody else. But
to your point, to Leo's point, it makes you recover. It makes your body recover, does it not? So that makes you better than everybody else. That gives you a distinct advantage over everybody else.
Well, I also thought that steroids could actually get you hurt quicker as well because you're pushing your muscles to the limit. I don't know about the recovery portion of things.
Right.
I do know that you're a lot more prone to injuries when you have steroids in your system.
Right. But I mean, we're kind of comparing it to weed, which I believe should be legalized. And Roger brought this up again, and I know he wants to.
What should be legalized?
Weed. Marijuana, yeah.
But even if it's legal for previous company, which I don't want to mention that I used to work for,
right?
You know, I used to go around and I used to say, "Hey, we work in a drug-free workplace. We work where drugs are free." It's kind of a standing joke, okay? But the case is, and there's some truth to that, and you'll understand. They can legalize marijuana in every state in the country,
right?
But it can still be banned in your workplace, such as the company that I work for. It's never going to be any different in any major league sports. I don't honestly think that football, baseball, and any other sport that's played professionally is ever going to say, okay, since it's legalized, it's okay.
Yeah, I think the alternative is if you give somebody pills, if you give somebody, a prescription pills that they get hooked on, that's a lot worse than, THC or marijuana at the end of the day, which we've heard from athletes, helps concussions, helps CTE, helps them recover, takes away the pain. And I think, again,
Peter, isn't that performance enhancing then too?
But everybody has it. Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the difference. Here's the difference. You're exactly right. It may be performance enhancing, but everybody has access to it. Not everybody has access to steroids. We're on with Leo here, having a great conversation. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Harry the Greek here, professional handicapper extraordinaire. That is the difference. Everybody can get that. Not everybody can get steroids. And then furthermore, going back to Bonds, because I know the tribal troll here, Roger, wants to keep on trolling. We don't even know where Bonds got that from. He had a laboratory create this stuff. So not everybody had the opportunity to have that type of substance, which definitely helped them out. So go ahead, Harry. What else do you have on your mind tonight?
Well, when you're talking about marijuana should be legalized in sports,
yeah.
Well, let me give you this. I think you're prone to get more. I think you're more prone to getting hurt if you're playing high because your reaction time is going to be quite a bit slower.
Right.
I mean, let's be real.
Right.
You have 1/3 of a second to react from the time that the ball is coming off of the pitcher's hand by the time it gets there. So what if he's trying to beam somebody in the head?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that he's not going to care that he gets hit, his reaction time is slower. You could potentially get hurt. Football would be the same way. So let me be really clear. They are never going to legalize any type of drugs in any of our sports because of the fact of the legalities and the liabilities that a player can get hurt.
Well,
that's just my opinion. And hold on, you said something about pills, Peter.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct, but that's for another subject. You're talking about big pharma versus big pot. There's a huge difference here.
Which the NFL is... Look, they're kind of they kind of are in bed with big pharma at the end of the day with prescriptions and doctors and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason why a lot of it. And my former co-host, who God bless his soul, would used to say this on the Sports Web all the time. The reason why they have not legalized marijuana, and this will be Sean the Sports Don, is because of big pharma and the NFL being in bed together. And
that's what I said.
Right. So, and Gregory, he's filed a lawsuit last week versus the NFL and the Denver Broncos. Discrimination, was fined $532,000 for positive THC test. The suit also states that Gregory was prescribed a synthetic form of THC for social anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, which once again, that's my point when it comes to marijuana, that actually helps you out. But, talking about Gregory, because I asked Leo about this and we'll move on. Harry,
I need to interject. I'm really sorry.
There
are other medications, Peter, that are out there that can help you deal with social anxiety that are legal. Okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not actually 100% proven that marijuana does it. It hasn't been through laboratory testings through our government. It has been done on independent studies. So anybody that wants to debate that situation with me, and let me be really clear, I am not against marijuana.
Right.
I'm justifying what the league is going to look at and any major corporation in this country. Let me be really clear. The company that I work for, even though that marijuana is legal and I can go out and get a prescription card, if I got hurt at my workplace and the very first thing they do is make me drop and I piss dirty, I am not getting paid. They will cover my medical expenses and they will fire me because I signed a clause that says I can't have any synthetic or any narcotics or any alcohol in my system at the time of work. And it's not going to be anything different. Just because Randy Gregory signed or just because he's filing a lawsuit, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go anywhere. Because in his clause for the National Football League, he is signing that he is subject to fines and suspension for violating the NFL rules and policies. I don't know exactly how to put it.
But those have changed now.
Those
have changed, right, Leo? I mean, this is all changed now, according to the Players Association. The NFL has been a little bit more lax. So to Gregory's point, he should be getting that money back that he was fined in the first place from the Broncos. In your opinion, Leo, does he have a case here?
Well, if it's prescription, yes, he does. All depends on who filled the prescription and who wrote it. If it was a team doctor, then the team's kind of on the hook here. Yeah. Because they prescribed him he was prescribed something that made him ineligible because he, again, as Harry said, he came up dirty. And that's I can remember cases of athletes who they took over-the-counter drugs without going to their personal and their team physicians and trainers to have them checked out first.
Right.
To see if they were illegal. I mean, if you look at Adderall, what it is, what's it prescribed for? Well, a lot of guys were using it for other things. And you got to get a prescription. And you got to have a reason for getting that prescription. That's the biggest problem, Peter, is who wrote it and who prescribed it. That's where it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm not against marijuana, and I need to clarify that and preface the fact that eventually it may be accepted, but at this time it's not. And Leo, to your point, you're 100% correct. But let me ask you a question. When have you seen a regular doctor, your general practitioner, go ahead and prescribe you pot? I never have. You have to go to one of these medical marijuana. You're right. If the team doctor prescribed this for him, which you and I and everybody else here listening knows that he didn't, because he stands to lose his millions of dollars a year as a team physician. Okay, that's not going to happen. He's not going to do anything against the NFL policy. How many scripts are going to? But name a doctor, regular general practitioner, not a DO, but an MD, that is going to prescribe marijuana for social anxiety, especially when an NFL football player. He just thought that he was going to be above the law, in my opinion, and I got a prescription for it, and I'm just going to fight it. Going to lose, but eventually, maybe 5-10 years down the road, this might be a different conversation. I mean, we were talking about gambling 15 years ago and how Roger Goodell was saying, the gambling to the devil. It's never going to be allowed. There's no place in the National Football League for it. Now look at it. You got a casino coming to your venue real slow and a sports book in every venue across the country. So eventually it'll get passed. There's not a doctor out there, in my opinion, as an MD prescribed marijuana. Not one.
The issue is, at this point, we're on with Harry the Greek, of course, a professional handicapper extraordinaire of this show, and, of course, Mr. Leo Haggerty. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. In your opinion, with Gregory, missing mandatory minicamp here the first 2 days, should the Bucs, if he misses tomorrow, should they just wash their hands with this guy? Is it done before it started, in your opinion? Should they do that? Because it is too much of a headache at this point, Harry, in your opinion?
No, I think he's a really, really skilled player.
Okay.
I honestly think he's on the right team to go ahead and keep him going and to keep his attitude. I mean, let's be real. The Buccaneers have really been able to filter out really bad eggs. And I don't think Randy Gregory is a bad egg. I just think he's a little bit misguided. And I think once he gets under the tutelage of Todd Bowles and the general manager of this team, and if you're going to run these really, really fine athletes, especially in the defensive end of the ball, I think you're going to see a different type of player. I am pro Randy Gregory. There's a lot of people that are not. And I think the guy's got a lot less in the tank, and I think he's got a lot to, not so much to prove, but I think he could benefit this ball club. But he's got to stop the nonsense, and he's got to drop this crap, because he's going to give this organization a black eye.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks a lot for the call, man. We definitely got to run. Hope to see you on video here when you get home. I know you're working some OT. Everybody, my friend, is always working. Appreciate you as always. Let me go out to this guy right here.
Damn it, Jim. What the hell's the matter with you?
Let's go out to Jim. Jim, you're on the Evolution with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. What do you have to say? Okay, I guess we don't have Jim. So there you go. So call back, Jim, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's get into, again, Levante David, 13 seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He spoke to the media today. I guess we're going to go out to Jim. Jim, welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind?
I went to the answer machine.
I have no idea what is going on with everything tonight. You just have to work with me. Yeah, I don't know, man. What's up?
I want to ask you guys about that boxing match that was supposed to be coming up in July.
Yeah, that's not coming up. It's going to be November, I believe, 15th. It's between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, I get my buddy was telling me about, something happened to Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he's hurt. He had a flare
ulcer.
With an ulcer. Yeah, he flared up with his ulcer, and he is, the doctor basically said you can't train, full time here. You got to limit your training. So they decided to put it off, and we'll see. I got somebody in the business who doesn't even think this fight will happen, and it may not happen because Tyson is up there in age. He's 57. I believe he's going to be 58 here in a month or two. Definitely when he fights, he'll be 58 years old. And again, we'll keep you up to date on it, but who knows if this is going to happen. I would like to see it happen because I get tired of hearing about how Tyson's going to kill Paul and Paul has no shot. I think there, is definitely some type of age difference, but it is still Mike Tyson. What else, Jim?
No, I was really excited about that fight too. Hey, the Bucs.
Yes.
Somebody didn't show up to training camp?
Yeah, Randy Gregory.
Who was that? I forgot who that is. That's a rookie?
Good question.
He's a veteran from the Denver Broncos and the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49ers decided to wash their hands with them. The Denver Broncos decided to wash their hands with them. There's been a lot of teams. And again, the thing goes back to he's got all kinds of potential in the world. He's always had that type of potential ever since he's come into the league. But what's the reason for him, dropping in the first place? Because of the allegations off the field, because of the failed test, because of all this other stuff off the field instead of on the field. That's what it comes down to.
Is he a wide receiver?
No, he's a defensive lineman.
Oh, he's a lineman?
Yeah, he's a lineman. Okay. Yes.
So, I seen Vita Vea. He said he was working out with Ndamukong this summer.
Who?
Vita Vea.
Vita Vea. Yeah, Vita Vea. He's definitely lost all kinds of weight and everything. I mean, let's talk about that, Leo, really quick. I mean, how much of a difference is that going to make, in your opinion, for Vea, not only for his, well-being, but for his production to cut all that weight? He's now slim. I mean, is that going to hurt the Bucs? Is that going to help the Bucs, in your opinion, with the weight loss from Vea?
Well, what are we talking about by slim? I mean, I think he's 295, 300 now, Peter?
Well, he's usually playing at 340 to 360, Leo. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good weight.
Yeah. I got a feeling someone got to Vita and said, hey, you're carrying a little too much, and it's probably affecting his knees. Because that's the first thing that goes for these guys that are carrying extreme weight, is those knees start to buckle, and you just can't carry that kind of weight. Give the guy credit. I'll tell you what, take that kind of weight off in that short period of time, man, that's excellent.
Yeah, that's definitely excellent. You're absolutely right about that. And I kind of wonder what the impact of it is with Kalijah Cansey also, playing at 280, 290, not big time weight. So they're trying to get faster on the defensive line. What do you think? Does it help Vea's production in your opinion, Jim?
Oh yeah, losing. I'm a big guy too. I was a defensive lineman, so losing weight always help you as long as you keep your muscle tone. And he said he was working out with Vita Vegas this summer. So
Yeah.
they need to go ahead and bring him back. I know he ain't playing for nobody.
Who?
Ndamukong Suh.
I believe he's retired now, right, Leo? He's officially retired?
I don't know if he's officially retired, but he'll get a phone call about 2-3 weeks into the season, especially if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Jim. Anything else here on the sports web?
That's good. I keep listening. I just started listening to you.
All right, man. I appreciate the call as always. Definitely use that second call there. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. Rays fall to the Cubs 4-3. Brandon Lau is not able to be a hero 2 nights in a row. They leave 2 men on, second and third. Of course, Garrett Clevenger, who's been pretty good lately, gave up the 3-run home run there to Bellinger for the Cubs, and that is the go-ahead. So the Rays lose to the Cubs at the Trop. Want to go out to this comment here. The Rays just can't overcome losing Wander. It's such a shame, but he was too big of a star to replace Wander. Would have been a perennial all-star. You agree with that, Leo?
Yeah, an orange.
Well, they're not able to overcome it. They're not able to overcome his loss on the field. Of course, off the field is a totally different story. I don't expect him to ever play for the Rays, let alone another Major League Baseball team. But it's very frustrating right now with this team. They now fall, 4 games under 500, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's, the lack of them, being able to score runs, which they haven't been able to do, averaging 3 to 4 runs a game. Your pitchers are pitching lights out, only giving up 2 to 3 runs, and you're not able to win. You don't have that run support, so it's disappointing. So if you want to talk about the Rays and their loss tonight to the Cubs and this disappointing season overall, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to there. I agree, Pig Dog. Ray Kennedy says, Randy Gregory, when I heard he didn't show, immediately reminded me of Jake the Snake, which would be Jake Plummer, not the wrestler. Tell you what, let's go out to this guy, Mr. Best of the Bay himself, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty.
Leo, the legend Leo. Leo, how are you tonight, brother? How are you, Peter?
I'm hanging in there, Ray. I'm in overtime, so
Yeah, well, we started out a little bit late because the tech issues when it comes to StreamYard and Facebook have been giving us a little bit of problems here. I don't know. I hope I'm not having problems right now. I'm looking at my screen and I don't know. The sound is matching up. It's just doing something weird right now, whether it's the internet, StreamYard, Facebook, I don't know, but they need to get it together because I pay all this money for this nonsense and it's being nonsensical right now. Leo word. But speaking of nonsensical, Randy Gregory, in your opinion, do they just move on at this point? Would you just move on if you're the Bucs?
Well, it kills me because, they're looking for that outside speed rush on a defensive line. They're looking to get faster in there with KJ Britt now at linebacker. So much you're not going to have that speed at linebacker. So you always good teams are the ones that continue to metamorphose that or continue to change. And so, you're not going to change the recipe on a Todd Bowles defense, but you can, apply the pressure, give a huge contract to a Winfield. You'd have never seen a contract like to Winfield under Tony Dungy 30 years ago. And I'm not saying he wouldn't have deserved it. I'm just saying it was the kind of defense they ran at Tampa 2 and up front. But Gregory, when we saw that Gregory was coming, the Bucs had claimed him, then we're like, oh, this is fantastic because we know Shaq's not here. And we got, we still have a couple of guys. I still hope it's going to be Logan Hall. I still want Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to shake out, but that train seems to have left the station. But when Randy Gregory doesn't report today, it just took me right back to Jake the Snake, Jake Plummer, when we first signed him. We were looking for a quarterback back in the day, and his elbow had already been shot, but we were like, oh, we got this quarterback. He's going to make everything happen for us. And so fortunately, as Bucs fans, we haven't had it happen too much to us over the years. But yeah, I mean, if he is the problem, Peter, and I think that Harry, the Greek, actually made a good point, is that this team's got so much good mojo going for him. Do you risk that mojo just because you can get that outside help at defensive line? I mean, if you're a championship caliber team, maybe you do.
Yeah, I don't know what you do at this point, but if he doesn't show up tomorrow, and even Todd Bowles, Leo, you said it best. He wants to coach the guys that are there, and the team will deal with it. It certainly doesn't sound like it's a great situation coming in. With that being said, I want to get out to these comments from Levante David about KJ Britt. He says, KJ is really passionate about the game of football. I love to see that. He's always willing to get better. He loves picking my brain and the coach's brain. Now, that's something to focus on, because here's a guy that really hasn't gotten his opportunity. And then when he got his opportunity, everybody said, well, he's not as athletically gifted as White. He's not this. He's not that. We heard from Todd Bowles the last couple months. He's a guy that knows his place. He knows his assignment. He may not be as athletically gifted as Devin White, but he definitely earned a spot. And David had this to say: picks my brain, picks the coach's brain. That's something that I admire to see. He's ready to take on that challenge right now. He has the opportunity to take the Mike linebacker spot. So far, so good. So let me go out to you, Leo. What did you see from KJ Britt? Definitely an improvement on defense. We talked about it, how, White could be all over the place from sideline to sideline with the speed, but then on top of it can be out of position, overrun his spot, miss tackles, and then, of course, when it comes to coverage, just be god-awful.
Well, you know what, Peter? Again, you got to understand, I don't drink the Kool-Aid for OTAs and minicamp.
Right.
Because all it is, and Lovie Smith hit the nail on the head. It's underwear football and DVDs.
Right.
And, that's just, it's not the way the game's played. And you're to a point now where Todd Bowles was asked, what are you want to get out of this mini camp? Want to get through so when we come to training camp, we can eliminate the MEs. You know what MEs are, guys? Mental errors.
Wow.
That's what they're trying to get. They want to try to build a foundation so when they get to that next level of training camp, they're ready. They're making errors of commission, not errors of omission.
Listen,
and that's the big difference.
Listen to you being a wordsmith tonight. Let me go out to Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. What do you think of these comments from Levante David? I got to ask you, Mr. Historian of the Bucs. They're 13 years. Has it been that long? 13 years, Levante David starting out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think, the key phrase there, key statement is, this guy is picking my brain. He's picking the coach's brain. Tell you what, stand by really quick. Roger, we're going to put you on hold. We'll come out to Ray. We'll get back to you, all right? Stand by here. So, Ray, go ahead and give me your thoughts on Levante David's comments on KJ Britt.
Well, I'm sorry, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, well, no, the other Ray.
Been known. I'm sorry, Leo. I got another call on my phone. But look, Levante's played in the shadow. He played in the shadow of Luke Kuechly from Carolina for years, and we've already identified the fact that Levante David's already had a body, or Kuechly, but we've already potatoes. But my point is, I want to work it back to the Randy Gregory thing, and the fact that a team leader like Levante makes the statements about a KJ Britt, and I know they're the two different positions. But you and Leo, I think you hit the nail on the head, is that the other 52 in the room, they know what's up. And you start letting a team, you start bringing in a problem child, you go after a Mason Foster, you go after a defensive lineman because you want to make your team better. At what point does it start to break down the very nature of the things that Levante is trying to build in when he talks about the type of team player that KJ Britt is? He talks about how he's devoted, he's learning, he's wanting to learn. Now, if you bring a guy in that's not going to show for OTAs and has already had trouble at two other stops, now you start to take a chance at damaging the very fabric of what the strength of your team is, and that is a classy, heads-up, responsible team. So, I mean, as much as Randy Gregory, as much as he could bring an outside rush on defensive line, I'm like other Bucs fans, I start to question the fact, would it be worth it?
Well, it goes back to Levante David. He's saying this kind of stuff. Clearly, he was the best linebacker on this team. I just think it's impressive for him to say, this guy's picking my brain, this guy's picking the coach's brain, because it seemed like last year, going back to it, and I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here with Devin White, he just seemed like he wasn't interested in being a part of this team, let alone, knowing the assignments, knowing this, knowing that. This kid, say whatever you want to about him, but he certainly seems like Again, he's going to get every opportunity to start. When he got the chance to start last year, he performed well. I'm excited about the opportunity, but it goes back to also what Leo said. Right now, it's just mandatory minicamp, so you can't really take anything out of it. But you do have him on film. With that being said, Ray, what else, buddy?
No.
Rays lose tonight.
No. Well, first of all, the Rays lose, and I'll tell you what. I was going to go on. We can go on about the Gregory thing another time. But the Rays, I wanted to ask you guys this, and Leo, you too. I'll ask you.
Well,
Leo,
yeah, I don't know if you answer my question or not. If you're the Bucs and he doesn't show up tomorrow, or even if he does show up tomorrow, do you move on at this point?
I think the writing's already on the wall. I think that if there was a reason why he wouldn't have shown up, because it doesn't take a lot for your people to call his people, for you to call him, for there to be communication. They're professionals and it's a job. So, I mean, I think that if the Bucs weren't already short on a fuse, they'd have said, well, he wasn't here today, but it's an excuse. You know, he wasn't here today, but, you know, he had an issue. But what you hear is he just wasn't here. And so when I hear that, I hear a team, not only are they going to try to wax it over because the other 52 in the locker room know that he wasn't here and he's a no-show and didn't call. I already hear that a team has very short patience for this. So I honestly, you know, what I'd like to have saw him when I first heard the Bucs had acquired his rights. I'm like, well, that would be awesome. The outside rush to work with the inside, a lighter Vea, you know, going crazy. But at the same time, you know, we talk about, just like with the Rays, I'll transition to the Rays. We talk about the attitude in the locker room. And you guys were just talking about the fact that Wander Franco, of course you lose that bat in the middle of the lineup, and he's good for a hit every time. He was a stud, a great player. But you hear people wanting Cameron, you hear people wanting guys brought up faster. They want to bring up this guy. They want to bring up that guy from this farm system, which, again, all in due time. But do you guys really want to take our chances with future options? The way this Rays team's been ran for the last decade, we work on teams, we keep players' options, we bring them up, we put them down, and even at our own detriment, we've actually slowed in bringing them up. But this is what they do. They wait for the perfect match. You're going to have 5 healthy pitchers next year, hopefully in Springs, Rasmussen, you know, going to have Zach Eflin not traded. Do you want to take a chance in calling a guy up and losing your options on him earlier, or do you continue to do what works? Because if anything, I know the team isn't they're not buyers at the deadline.
Right.
But if anything, the Rays seem to have a
might be sellers at the deadline, and I think to a certain degree it has worked, but you have still not won a World Series. With that all being said, Ray, appreciate the comments as always. Appreciate the phone call as always. Definitely use that second phone call, and if you want to jump on video, let me know. All right, my friend.
Thanks, brothers. All
right, good stuff there. So let's move on because I know you don't want to hype Roger. You can call back if you want to. Anybody else can call back. Well, he's calling back. Leo, I know we're going to get you out of here because you're on a pitch count. Let's go out to the Tribal Troll.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Mr. Roger Shue. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty.
Hey, great show, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so here's my prediction, and I wanted to get this out while the legend is still on the air.
Yep.
My prediction is the Chicago Bears will have a top 3 defense this season and a top 10 passing offense. What do you think, Leo?
Well, I tell you what. Now I don't want to leave this guy hanging because I just saw him in the green room. Let me get this guy on. Leo will be able to answer the question. This guy right here, Mr. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire of the sports web. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you again. Do you want to start out with this?
No.
Okay.
I do agree with the defense being a top 5. He said top 3. I say top 5 all the way around. That defense is for real in Chicago this year. They're really starting to blossom, especially if they get another guy in free agency to rush the quarterback. Offensively, yes, they have all the tools now, including an offensive line. They got a really nice running game. They have the receivers. They have the tight ends. But you got a rookie quarterback. I don't care if he's the number one. I mean, he's your number 1 overall draft pick, but let's be real, guys. I mean, that's a pretty tall task. But Leo, I can't remember the last time a rookie quarterback, especially a number 1 overall pick, is coming into a situation like this young man is, and I've never seen a team have that many weapons for him to choose from. That's where I'd like your opinion, because I've never seen it. I've been on this earth for 57 years.
Coming to a better stacked team than Patrick Mahomes walked into when he was a rookie.
Okay.
Well, but of course.
Yeah, guys, but here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me.
It's not homegrown talent. It's all mercenaries. It's guys coming in from other places, and we all know it's going to take time.
It's 2 players, Leo. 2 players they brought in.
Yeah, but what were the two players?
Keenan Allen.
Wide receivers.
Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift.
Yes. That's pretty much 60% of your offense when you look at that. And Harry, I'm with you. I'm not sold on the quarterback because he's a rookie. And you bring up a great point. He's coming into a situation that is a lot better than what Peyton Manning came into in Indianapolis, which is a bad team. Chicago got the pick from Carolina, right? So Chicago wasn't the 32nd team when it comes to win and loss. They got Carolina's pick.
Yep.
They were middle of the pack. Could Caleb Williams change that dynamic? I think the biggest, if they were in the NFC South, yeah, maybe. They're in a tough division. I mean, you're going to have to fight Green Bay. You're going to have to fight Detroit. And that's going to be a problem. That's really going to be a problem.
It's definitely going to be a problem because there's high expectations when it comes to the Green Bay Packers and, everything else. Of course, the Lions being everybody's favorite in the National Football League. But I agree with Harry. I agree with Roger. This rookie quarterback is definitely set up. They're going to be a part of Hard Knocks. I don't believe there's ever been a team that's been a part of Hard Knocks that's ever made the playoffs. So maybe the Bears can exercise that situation. We'll see, because it's always a distraction, especially before the season. And now you got a rookie quarterback. You've got all these expectations.
Peter, I'm excited to see this because I've never seen a rookie quarterback, let alone a number one overall pick, walk into a situation like this. I've never seen it. And I've went year by year by year. I've never seen it. Leo, I know you haven't seen it this way either. I mean, we can all speculate it, but all he's got to do is just be a game manager, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. But I got a little funny feeling that this kid's going to be a little bit more than a game manager. I'm just trying to be optimistic, but cautiously optimistic.
Shipping July 15th.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. What else is on your mind tonight? Your Cubs beat the Rays, by the way. So.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Can I get a go Cubs, go, Harry?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, you're not.
All right, I'll give it to you. Go Cubs, go. Go Cubs, go.
Cubs,
hey,
go.
Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are always going to stink today. Was it like that or no?
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I do like their hats, though.
I think the Rays are going to be selling at the deadline.
They may be, and there's a rumor out there. We'll end off with this. Roger, thanks a lot for the call.
Hey, did you guys ever see this? That's the Chicago Cubs hat.
Okay. All right.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, nice.
Real pretty.
Yeah.
Leo, you see it, right?
Yeah, I do.
That's a Cubby.
Really quick here, I want to read this comment. Chris says, how good has the Florida State undrafted free agent linebacker been? Not a bot. I know you are, Chris. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I know you're not a bot.
What's up, Chris?
I haven't heard anything about him, but I know the Bucs were excited about him as a player coming out of Florida State. It's tough to know, right, Leo? Because it is a mandatory minicamp. So it's just guys running around in shorts, correct?
That's it.
All right.
It's underwear football, guys. And you know what? Until they put the pads on, they start hitting for real, we're not going to know anything. It's all a guessing game.
Yeah.
Because right now, you're looking at 7-on-7. You're looking at non-contact drills. When those lights go on, we're going to see if lights go on or if lights go off. That's the big thing.
Good stuff there, Leo. Appreciate the time as always. And we got something going on Sunday. Haven't really gotten a chance to promote it, but can you tell everybody what we're doing here on Father's Day here on the Evolution in collaboration with Amped Up Sports?
Yeah, we're going to go out to Belmar Saloon and we're going to do a little bit of, a little sports roundtable with you and myself and Roy Cummings and Ryan Neal, our newest guy, and hopefully Ira Kaufman's going to join us. So we're going to have the five of us around a little bit of a little food. Let's be honest. We're going to talk while we wait for lunch to show up. But the big thing we're going to talk about is everybody's going to have a story about their dad. And so if you're calling in, make sure you call in and you got a story about your dad. Now, remember, we're not looking for an epistle or a gospel. We're looking for something 60 to 90 seconds. So
Yeah.
if you're going to call in and get out. Right, Harry?
Absolutely, but that's a Peter special.
You got him silenced on that one. He had no answer.
Oh yeah, I love to talk about my father, and I hope there's a lot of sports fans out there that love to talk about their father because, of course, as I always say here, Rich from Clearwater was the
that wasn't even my reference. It went way over his head. Leo,
he didn't have a glove. He wasn't even reaching for that.
You and I understand it, Leo. It's okay, little Peter.
Not tonight, Satan. We're not doing it tonight, there, Satan. All right, Leo.
I'm out of here.
All right,
hey man.
See you later.
Take care of yourself, Leo.
I would tell you to go to hell because I know what you were trying to do there, Harry the Greek. You were trying to stir it up like you always do, and you're not doing it to me tonight. We're not doing this here on a happy hump day edition of the Sports Web.
Hump day.
That's right, hump day. Let me go ahead and play it. Day. There we go. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391 in case you missed it. Rays lose. They fall 4 games under 500. We'll get back to the Rays.
Talking about the Rays losing, I do need to address something.
Please do.
I made a wager with
El Bushman.
If anybody remembers him, El Bushman's the guy that has the really good podcast talking about the Tampa Bay Rays. And he took the Baltimore Orioles, and I took the Rays in that series. I should have listened to him. He's right. The Rays suck. And I owe him $20 because I took the Rays.
Well, the rumor is that Ken Rosenthal is saying from The Athletic that there's executives around Major League Baseball that hope the Rays sell low on the guys that they have, namely a Randy Arozarena, Yandy Diaz, a Brandon Lau, because if you get to a certain point, and look, I'm not giving up on this Rays team, but they really have not shown me anything consistent.
Peter, they're horrible.
They're not good. It's not pitching.
It's because of that. No, it is. It's that bullpen, Peter.
Well,
it's really it's pretty bad, man. They showed a little bit of promise, but
it's more hitting at the end of the day because when you got guys like Eflin and Savali who deserve better tonight. He didn't get better. I mean, Taj Bradley, you're only giving up 2 or 3 runs, and you can't get that run support consistently. It's going to come back to haunt you. And this team has not been able to put together consistent games. Randy Arozarena has been largely disappointing. Yandy Diaz has been disappointing. And these are the guys that you're talking about. I know we're going to talk about the Bucs. We're going to get back to that. But if you're the Rays and you continue to be very inconsistent and, you're 3, 4, 5 games under 500.
4.
Do you right now 4?
They're sellers at the trade deadline, Peter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they're going to be sellers. Let me be really clear when I say this about the Tampa Bay Rays. You can win a lot of baseball games like they have before, and their biggest Achilles heel has always been hitting. But you know what? They did something in years past that they're not doing this year. They're not manufacturing the runs. They're not playing that small ball. People are enamored with the long ball. But I'm telling you, man, you want to win baseball games, you pitch and you play small ball. And when your bullpen is as bad as this team's is right now, and their starting pitching really isn't that bad, and you combine that with not bunting and running the bases correctly and having all the mental lapses that this team is having, that's a recipe for disaster. And that's exactly, unfortunately, what has happened with this ball club. But, Peter, they'd be an above 500 team, even with this current bullpen, if they would just manufacture the runs instead of looking at the fences. And I think you'd agree with me on that.
Absolutely. But 51 home runs, actually 52 with Jose Siri tonight, getting a home run there to go up 2-1. Their bullpen blew it when they had the opportunity. 3-run jack to Bellinger there later on. And the Rays are not able to do anything after that. Cabby, I think they have now 53 home runs. But the difference is, you look at the Baltimore Orioles, over 100 home runs this year, a great bullpen. I mean, that's why they may be, besides the Yankees, the best team in Major League Baseball. And, oh, by the way, they're in this division. but it's those two facets. It's hitting the long ball and also being able to run prevent. And throughout the years with this Rays team, that's been the disappointing thing. They were able to, have run prevention, and their pitchers are able to, especially in the bullpen in those high leverage situations, to get out of it. They're not able to get out of it. They haven't been able to get out of it, even if their starting pitching is good enough. And then on top of it, you mentioned it, defensively, they've been lax. They have lots of errors. They're not making the plays they did, in years past. It's come back to haunt them. And then you got guys like Randy Arozarena, who is reminding me of Devin White. It seems like he's distracted by the contract situation, or he doesn't want to be here, or he's not interested.
No. I love Randy Arozarena, but I want to circle back when you talked about the Baltimore Orioles possibly being one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah.
Rumor holds it. And if this does come to fruition, it's going to be an exciting race if you're a baseball fan, because the Baltimore Orioles are this close to consummating a deal with the Chicago White Sox for Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. Brother, you get a left-handed pitcher like Garrett Crochet, and you bring in, arguably, if he's healthy, one of the best center fielders in the game. This team will be very, very, very difficult. Very difficult. But they're going to literally give up half their farm system for those two players.
And there's not an out in that lineup already. So you add to that lineup, it just makes it that much better. And they've done it the right way.
And this guy's capable. If he stays healthy, Peter, this guy could hit 40, 50 homers and hit 300. I'm not kidding you. He's that kind of talent.
All right, let's go out to the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
Roger Shu using your second call. I'm surprised it's early because I thought you would use it during Turnbuckle Talk. Oh, by the way.
Well, no, I told you I'm not watching Turnbuckle Talk.
Well, I don't know why, because Mark Mancini is not showing up tonight. He was supposed to show up, but he's not showing up, so it's going to be Rob Williams.
Maybe I'll watch.
Oh, my God. You have something against Mark?
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, and Harry, I want you to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Peter, are you going to have a special Father Nelson story on Sunday?
No, I will not have a Father Nelson story at all.
This guy sucks.
You're an idiot. You are an idiot.
Shut up! How about no?
There you go. That's your response right there.
I just wondered. All right, have a good night, guys.
Hey, Roger, have a good one, man. Okay,
yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
Too, brother.
Yeah, thanks a lot for nothing, as always. On the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to Pete Prisco. He was talking on Twitter today, national media guy from CBS Sports. Probably like to try to get him on the evolution of sports.
One of the few guys that I'll actually follow.
Well, you're going to follow him even more because this is what he had to say. Well, you should, because he's been in the business for over 20 years. Does a great job.
But you know me, Peter. I don't like to listen or follow pundits that are out there. I just never have. But he is one of the few that I actually would be very interested to see what he's got to say. So shoot it. I want to hear this.
All right. He says to watch the Bucs practice this week at minicamp, and a lot of people are sleeping on that team. They will win the division again, much bigger and tougher on the offensive line, and Baker Mayfield is settled in at quarterback. The players love him from what I'm told. Your thoughts on those comments? Because I put them out there.
It sounds like Pete Prisco's listened to you and me talk.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what the Buccaneers needed to do this year. And by the way, he's about the only one with a half a brain that actually sees this team, that people have been sleeping on him. Pete, where you been? They slept on him last year, and look what they did. You really honestly think, and anybody else that's out there, this team isn't going to win the division? They won it by default, and the only reason why they lose it is if something happens to Baker and they have something detrimental happen to that offensive line, because the defense, it's not going to be as fired up like people said. They'll be a top 10, maybe a top 12 defense. They'll be good enough to win, but this offense could be really scary. The only way they don't win this division is if someone enters some major injuries. Other than that, they should roll on to another, how many years in a row now?
4 year. It'd be 4 years in a row. They won in the NFC South. This would be the fourth year.
Should be the fifth.
Well, no, it'd be 4 year. They won it 3 times. This would be the fourth. So they're going for 4 years in a row in the NFC South.
Ready? I'm 4 years old.
And then because you can't count 2020. They didn't win in the division. Of course, the Saints did.
That's
but
right.
They won 2021, 2022, and last year. So they're going for 4.
So it'll be 4.
Yeah, 4 years in a row. It's okay. And you're exactly right about that. And one of the most exciting aspects that I'm looking forward to is this offensive line. with, Graham Barton picking him up.
Keep saying his name because I did during the
you
draft.
did. You did.
I
Absolutely.
loved it.
And I will pat you on the back for that because you are exactly right.
I was enamored when they got him. I was like, yes, they finally replacing Ryan Johnson. They're finally getting their Ryan Johnson. Because I'll tell you what, and wait till he gets comfortable in this offense and he becomes the guy that's reading these defenses and helping Baker out. This is going to be really exciting to see this team, I'm telling you.
It is, and I'm curious to see who's going to win out the left guard spot. Is it going to be Opeta from the Eagles? Is it going to be Bretterson from the Giants? Is it going to be Hansey from the Bucs last year? Is it going to be somebody else like Klein, who they drafted in the later rounds? This will be interesting.
I'm not a Hansey fan.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to win that guard position. I think he's going to play a lot better than he has in years past. I was wrong. I really was very critical of him last year. I really got to watch some of the tape. Yeah. He's actually a pretty solid player. You know what the problem was?
What's up?
The people around him.
Well, I mean, they're stiff with Matt Filer at left guard, and then they make that change.
You said it, I didn't.
Well, no, I'm just saying he was a stiff. I mean, look at Pro Football Focus. I know you don't like to focus on that, but the numbers don't lie. He wasn't good. You look at the film, he was a stiff. They make the change to Aaron Stinney. He's better. The running game gets better. And I think, White could be the most underrated player on this team. Rashad White could be the most underrated player because he's going to get the opportunity finally behind a really good offensive line. And I'm telling you, this kid, Bucky Irving, I know he's a rookie, and I know that he's not work done. He's not this. Everything that you hear so far is just, how excited they are about him, how explosive he is, how
he's
much
going to be explosive. But Peter,
Yep.
It's going to be exciting to watch that kid Bucky play, but he's going to be a gadget player. He's a little bit of a bigger version of a Tariq Cohen.
Okay.
Okay, and let me tell you something. Cohen had a phenomenal couple of years in
Before
Chicago,
he got hurt. Right?
Before he got hurt. But man, Rashard White, this is the year that you're going to see him break out. And if they commit to the running game, like I think they're going to under this new OC, you could be talking possible Pro Bowl selection.
Wow, I love it. I absolutely love it as I'm trying to produce.
They got an offensive line. The fans in Tampa Bay and across the country, even around the world, should be enamored what this team has done, especially on the offensive line.
I look at another word, elated. And by the way, you're invited to that Father's Day soiree there out at the Belmar Saloon if you want to come out there. You're a great father. I know that that's an important day for you. We're going to talk sports and talk about our fathers. And I know you have some stories about your father. And as I always said here, Rich from Clearwater, the greatest caller of all time on this show, because not only was he a character, but he was also an inspiration for the way this show evolved throughout the years. And if not for him and his advice, because I tell this story all the time. In 2015, I got turned down for a local TV job. And I was considering just quitting this altogether. I love this so much, but he gave me some great advice. I took it, I applied it. And he always used to say, when those lights turn on, boy, you're going to be real dangerous. I hope, Dad, that those lights are shining bright there in heaven with you watching.
Dangerous, all right.
Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the great handicapper extraordinaire of this show, Mr. Harry the Greek, as I'm sending this link right now to Mr. Ralph Williams for Turnbuckle Talk, which we'll do coming up here. We'll hear from Baker Mayfield in just a little bit. Prisco also goes on to say, which is even more because, big time scouting report. And this is what I pointed out on Facebook, which, by the way, thanks a lot for all the comments, all the shares and likes. I love that. Here's one guy that's always sharing my stuff. Good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Christopher O'Reilly. Appreciate you. He said you should invite Rashad to live stream with you. He's very personable.
Gentlemen?
Yes, we're gentlemen. Yeah, we're gentlemen, aren't you? Well, usually most
I'm looking underneath her.
Will you shut up and be quiet?
This guy sucks.
How's that for gentlemen? Thank you, Chris, for sharing it.
Chris. I appreciate that, Christopher.
All the comments, as always, all the shares. It means a lot. You guys are the lifeblood. I believe we're almost to 7.6 thousand followers on my professional profile. Of course, we share it to I Love St. Pete, which has 185,000. Bucs Life there, nearly over 20,000 there. So it just keeps on growing and growing and evolving. And once again, going back to my dad, if not for my dad and his advice throughout the years and corrupting me into liking Tampa Bay sports, we would not have this show. Prisco goes on to say the Bucs have to run the ball better. Must watch this show also. But that is a focus of the offense going into the season. Graham Barton will help that in the middle of their offensive line. Tight end remains a soft spot, but they aren't awful there. Of course, we talked about K. Dotton and his.
I'm not a big fan, though. That's one place I really, really hope they can address in free agency. I really, really, honestly, Peter, if they can get themselves a really good tight end, and look, K. Dotton is not it. He's decent.
Right.
That's my opinion.
He's decent. He's got, listen, he's got, potential. It's most overly used word in sports. He even
Tell me about it.
He wants to get better with the blocking aspect. He wants to be a consistent catcher. We saw him last year catch, a winning touchdown in Atlanta. We also saw him drop, some potential touchdowns. San Francisco, Detroit, those type of plays have to be made consistently, especially with Baker Mayfield. And we all know, a tight end is usually a security blanket for that quarterback. That quarterback's going to have confidence in you. You have to start catching the ball consistently. And then furthermore, to take your next game to the next level, you have to become a better blocker for that running game. Of course, the physicality aspect. He also goes on to say even more about the Bucs. Zion McCollum and Dean will be good outside at corner, while nickel will be a battle. Keep an eye on rookie Tyke Smith out of Georgia, who is also impressed, and rush will come from Yaya Diaby, but they might have to manufacture it with different pressure looks. So
they're not done, Peter, grabbing people. There's free agency. There's going to be a lot of players going to be getting cut. Look, you got two guys in the back room. I'm going to let you go ahead and get them on. It's been a very, very long day. Plus, I'm not much with WWE, but I do see Rolf Williams, my boy down there. I haven't seen him in a while. Much love, Rolf. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, I see you there. Look, man, I appreciate you guys having me on and let me go ahead and talk with my 20 minutes of claim to fame. Go Rays, go Bucs. And you can catch me here Monday and Wednesday nights on the Sports Web. I'm not the host, but I am Harry the Greek. I'll talk to you guys later.
He is the co-host of this show, Harry the Greek. Once again, hopefully we see you guys on Sunday. All right.
It's been a long time. Maybe on Sunday. We just don't know. And to everybody that's out there, if I don't see you, happy Father's Day, especially to you, Mr. Ray Kennedy, because you're the father of the year.
Great stuff there, Harry. Appreciate the time here, as always, on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
See you guys.
All right, good stuff there. Want to go out to Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. What's going on, brother? As the Rays fall to the Cubs tonight, 4-3, and Bucs talk in full bloom here. The second day of mandatory minicamp, and of course, the big time story, Randy Gregory. We already talked about that, but I want to get back to Prisco's comments. I posted this on social media. Finally, national media is starting to give this team some respect. Your thoughts? Welcome to the evolution.
100%. And that's the thing. It's still the Atlanta Falcons, and they even gave the Atlanta Falcons our Monday night away game there at, in Atlanta at the, whatever it is, Mercedes-Benz Dome Part 4, or whatever it is at this point. But the disrespect that the Bucs have. And you know what, though? I still think that this team thrives on that. Tell us what we can't do, and we'll show you up. And you were just reading those comments about Yaya Diaby and getting with KJ Britt. And that's what I was talking to earlier, Peter. It's like, the great teams, and let's just use the New England Patriots, the great teams. They lose offensive linemen. They have a great receiver. They had Tim Brown, and they had, then they go here and they bring it here. They had a great quarterback. They had the consistent pieces. But the great teams, they change. Go back and even look at the Steelers back in the 70s. They always had a steel curtain, but they changed. They mixed and matched the pieces. And I think that's what you're seeing with this Buccaneers team. And I think the national media, I'm not sure if there's a narrative reason why they want maybe the ATL, or they want to let, Canales and those Panthers be happy, or maybe the Saints, Dennis Allen will get them going. At the end of the day, this is still 3-time defending champion, AFC South champion, your Buccaneers, and I think there's a lot of pieces to go here. And you were talking about mix and matches, the blitzes, or mix and matching on that defensive front with the different players. And fortunately for us, that's exactly what Todd Bowles' strengths are as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach. He's a genius at mixing things up and getting those players motivated and making those plays.
And also, Chris Braswell signed today. So the only remaining player that's unsigned at the end of the day is Graham Barton. So we'll see if the Bucs can get that done. But even Bowles talked about the young rookie out of Alabama and the similarities to Yaya Diaby. And I was like, I was on the JP Peterson show today, and I'm thinking, wow, that's the reason why you drafted him in the second round in the first place. Because, listen, the tape is there. Maybe the production isn't because he didn't get the opportunity. But the one thing I said about him when he was drafted out of Alabama, the thing that I appreciate is that he didn't, fall into transferring because he was playing behind Anderson. He wanted to play for Nick Saban. He wanted to play for the program. So he's all in. And I feel like maybe the Bucs got a steal here in the second round, and he could be highly productive and definitely push JTS, who's largely been disappointing.
JTS has the same problem that Devin White has, right? Fast to the ball, but seems to run past it. And the thing is, you got to be close. You got to close that deal, right? Always be closing. But you talk about this Buccaneers defense and the way they change and going into the season. The good teams just seem to do that. And that seems to be what Jason Light does. Because let's be honest, if there was any chance that Antoine Winfield would have gotten out of here without becoming the highest paid defensive back or safety of all time, that would have been crazy. And they didn't keep him because he was a fan favorite. Bury the lead. He actually is one of the fan favorites. But the fact is that kid plays football from the heart, just like his dad. Big Tweez did. Little Tweez plays the same way. And KJ Britt, the same thing at linebacker. Devin saw the writing on the wall last season. But I wanted to go ahead and I'll close with this, Pete. Thanks for letting me come in here. It only goes to me, it shows the strength, because you and I we've been fighting these people for 3 years. Oh, fire Todd Bowles. He's done. We got to make the playoffs or bust, whatever. And I'm like, look, this last year was the first time that Todd Bowles has had a chance to be the head coach of this Buccaneers team. Because remember, last year, Bruce Arians exited, Shades left, and it was too late for Todd Bowles to bring in his own program. And then he brought in his own program. How is Todd Bowles at hiring other positional coaches? I don't know. He hired an offensive coordinator who's now the head coach in Carolina after 1 year. But the beauty of Todd Bowles' system is that he understands that you got to love the football. You got to love the game of football. And that's why Devin White saw the writing on the wall. I still am a little leery about playing Philadelphia this year. I'm sure Devin's going to come in inspired. He's probably going to do one of the locker room speeches. I think that Philadelphia Eagles team is way too deep to let a Devin White become the leader of the team. He's going to try, but I still think the Bucs close a deal on that. And I think you'll see in the long run, okay, Devin White didn't work out. When we drafted him in 2018, we needed that middle linebacker. We needed that positional. We needed that, and he filled in. But now we're getting a linebacker in KJ Britt that's not as fast, but he closes the deal, and we're working on a speed up front. As a Bucs fan, how can you not be excited?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and I think there's a lot of excitement there, and there's a lot of expectations. And Prisco goes on to pick Tampa Bay to win their fourth consecutive NFC South title. He doesn't fall into having the Falcons or having the Saints, which we've heard. The Sports Illustrated guy who had the Bucs winning 2 games, he had them going third this year. So that's definitely a chip on the shoulder. And I would prefer this team because it seems like they thrive, especially Baker Mayfield, who there certainly seems like he's a direct reflection of this team in this locker room. That underdog mentality. I would prefer the national media to continue to just sleep on this team. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, final thoughts here on the evolution of sports talk television.
You mentioned Baker Mayfield and going into last season, and I love the fact that even going into this season, they actually Jason Light was I saw the in the fire or whatever the show, and he made the point that it was a close contest last season, but they went with Baker because Baker won outright, and he also had that veteran leadership. I'm not working it back to a Kyle Trask take. What I'm saying though, as far as this Buccaneers team goes, it's ironic. I go Testaverde, Trent Dilfer, Doug Williams over the years, Brian Greasy. I mean, all the quarterbacks we've had. Even with Tom Brady, the greatest of all time at quarterback for the 3-year period that he was, it's not going to take a whole lot. I'm excited about the fact that within 2 or 3 years tops, Baker Mayfield is going to put his imprint on his team and is going to end up being, in 2028, we'll look back on this and go, he was the best quarterback in the history of this Buccaneers team. I don't know if that gets another Super Bowl championship, but for consistency purposes, allowing Jason Light to build other pieces, you get the consistency and that leadership at the quarterback position, and you have a lot of cards to play with. We might not have drafted a quarterback. We don't have a 5-year quarterback. We don't have a Michael Penix Jr. on a 5-year contract where we can do like what the Ravens did with Lamar. But what we had was we found a Baker who came in here for $4 million. He signed still for what's a good deal considering what you have from a Pro Bowl quarterback among the other top quarterbacks in the league. I think that's going to let Jason Light continue to work that magic. My final thought is, Buccaneer fans, it's an exciting time to be a Bucs fan.
Yeah, and I got to tell you this because we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it. What were your thoughts on Sterling Shepard coming into town? We learned from Jenna Lane, and we kind of understood this that Baker and Shepard had chemistry in college there, and he also had a hand in getting Shepard here. So what do you think of this? Low cost veteran move hasn't necessarily worked out with Russell Gage. Didn't necessarily work out with Julio Jones. Shepard's been off and on hurt. In fact, he's been hurt for the majority of his career. When he's able to stay healthy, he's very productive. So what did you think of the signing by the Bucs here?
Well, the first thing when the Bucs first signed him, I turned to my guy at work, Kevin. He's the biggest Giants fan I know. It's a split family. They're Giants, Bucs fans, but he's a huge Giants fan. All he said to me was, he said, "You got a class act." And I went, you know what? I kind of already knew that about Sterling Shepard, that he's a class act. But that's what good general managers do. You go to a Sterling Shepard who had an off year last year. The Giants are going through a completely rebuild. They didn't have any wide receivers, although they didn't have a quarterback delivering the ball to him with Daniel Jones getting injured earlier in the year. But you go and you take a chance, just like the Raiders did, bringing in a quarterback that played in quarterback with Carr. I mean, bringing in Adams. You play the chance on that, because at the end of the day, these cats are all very talented. They're great football players, and a lot of them are great people. But you take a chance to bring a guy who had some magic in college at Oklahoma with Baker, your quarterback that you just signed, is probably going to be your franchise quarterback for at least the next half decade, if not further. And you go and get him a guy because you want to let him know, we're about making you comfortable, and we're about bringing in talent that you may have a little. Let the magic happen. If Sterling has another Julio Jones year, he's injured in preseason, we're like, okay, we have other receivers. We've got this guy, that guy. But at the end of the day, if they do have a little magic, those are some of the best narratives you see as a football fan. And come playoffs, those are the narratives. Those are the narratives you'll see the networks go with. So I like the Sterling Shepard. I like it that it wasn't a Randy Gregory, not to put him down. It wasn't an Antonio Brown, who, by the way, was fantastically talented, maybe one of the most talented wide receivers I've ever seen wear a Buccaneers uniform. No offense, Mike, but I'm talking about Antonio Brown, but he was wrong upstairs. You got a class act in Sterling Shepard, who also did some good things at Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield. And at the end of the day, if you're making your quarterback happy, you're making the team happy.
All right, and this guy right here always makes us happy when he chimes in here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. I got an intro for you, my friend. You're going to have to wait for that. It's not going to be music. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to throw this out there. For all the fans that call this show, I want a sound effect when you call in. I want to have that played every time you call in to give you just another reason why to call the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. But Tampa Bay, Ray, appreciate the time as always, and we'll see you soon. All right. By the way, Belmar Saloon on Sunday, if you want to come out, be a part of that Father's Day show, more than welcome, my friend. All right.
I'll be out there, brother.
All right. Sounds good. There you go. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, one of the best fathers in the Bay. Let's go out to this guy right here because we're going to shift gears. Let's see here. No matter what, I'm a Bucs fan for life. Love it. And just for that, here's what you get. Ready? There you go. Bashan, I appreciate it. I'll fire those cannons also. So appreciate Bucs fans like that here on the Sports Web. Open phone lines if you want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and, Pete Prisco and some of his thoughts about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Until then, let's go ahead and shift gears because we'll hear from Baker Mayfield just a little bit later as he talked to the media today. Let's go out to Turnbuckle Talk here. Mr. Ralph Williams having some trouble tonight, and I think you are muted. So can't unmute the guest.
Yeah, I'm having some issues with my volume here, Peter. I don't know what's going on. I got to fix it. I've been having issues all night with stuff, including Facebook.
I've been having issues also with Facebook and with StreamYard. Hopefully they get their act together, but the show must go on. This is live television. With that being said.
Well, you're on Facebook. I couldn't get my shows on at all in the last 2 days.
I couldn't. Wow. Oh, that's crazy in itself.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, and I have it on a private messenger for you.
Well, we'll definitely have to discuss that off the air. We'll figure that out. But what do you think about this whole Ricochet situation? Because it certainly looks like he may have been written off the show on Monday Night Raw as Braun Breaker just put him into the windshield of a car. reports are that AEW could be signing him. He could be leaving there. Samantha Irving, who is his fiance, going to be his future wife. She's a ring announcer, but she is still under contract. So what do you make of the Ricochet situation? Do you think this is a storyline, or do you think there's a legitimate shot for him to go to AEW? Welcome to the Evolution.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, I think that Ricochet is going to move on. It's time for him to move on and get into something else, maybe become a champion somewhere else. He could do like Matt Riddle, go to MLW or go to one of those places and become a champion. Look what Matt Cardona has done. I mean, he's gone all over the place. He's, and John Moxley's some championship with some Japan thing or whatever he's doing, so he could just be like those guys. And I wouldn't mind seeing Ricochet do that.
Yeah, and again, that's certainly a possibility. Now, Tony Khan was asked about this because Khan's biggest secret free agent signing was Will Ospreay. Ospreay, it looked like he was going to go to WWE, and then at the very last minute, he signs with AEW and Tony Khan for big-time money. When asked about it, he said, if it's okay, I'd rather not get into wrestlers that still work for someone else. Of course, his contract being up here. He also talked about Forbidden Door. He says, since we launched AEW, we've been looking to work with great wrestling companies across the planet. The relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling developed in 2021 and built to a point where we teamed to do a co-branded event like Forbidden Door. We're approaching the third one. It's a whole new level of great cooperation between wrestling promotions to see the stars of CMLL, Stardom, in addition to the great wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling competing with AEW stars. He said, I'm always open to working with great wrestling promotions all over the world. It feels like the spirit of cooperation and worldwide pro wrestling is greater than it has ever been, which is a big positive since the top stars of AEW go to Tokyo and compete at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that the fans can always count on AEW and New Japan to put on great collaborations. I think this year's Forbidden Door will be one of the strongest shows any promotion will put anywhere in the world. What do you think about that? Because we see more and more, and that was kind of taboo, right? I mean, you never had the dream matches. You had the fake invasion with WCW and WWE, but that was never true. But now you have WWE working with TNA. You have AEW working with New Japan. I mean, what do you think of this whole collaboration thing, if you will, with the wrestling companies?
I kind of like it this way, Peter. And what I would like to see, and I've said this many times, is on Survivor Series, I'd like to see like TNA come out with some wrestlers going up against WWE, or New Japan get 5 wrestlers and go up against AEW like that, kind of like a Survivor Series kind of match, or a War Games kind of thing. I'd like to see something like that. That would be entertaining. That would be interesting to see. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I kind of like the collaboration, too, because that gives former WWE wrestlers like TNA now has AJ Curtis, formerly known as Top Dollar, and he is now a champion there. You got Nick Nemitz, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, there. You got Mustafa Ali there. That's just to name a few. Brian Myers. So, I mean, you got a lot of guys that used to be with the WWE that are there now and doing well, being successful. And I would like to see them come back and collaborate with a few guys with the WWE. I think that would be a great thing for both companies.
I want to get out to the comments here from the webheads because we're not going to neglect them. But I want to ask you this. If you're Ricochet, would you stay in WWE? Or have you reached the pinnacle of your career? Are you just a mid-card guy? Will you ever get that opportunity to be a main eventer? Or would you go to AEW and wrestle against the likes of MJF, Will Ospreay? He knows the locker room there. He also knows Tony Khan appreciates his wrestling ability. They don't tell a lot of stories in AEW, but they wrestle. And the big knock on Ricochet is because he's not a great promo. He can't get on the mic and say what he wants to, but he could definitely wrestle a match, and you're going to have some great matches there in AEW. So if you're Ricochet, is the better situation for your career to leave WWE and AEW? What do you say?
Well, he better do something now, Peter. He's 40 years old. So, I mean, he needs to make a move. And I would go to AEW, TNA, MLW, ROH, whatever he needs to go and resurrect himself. he could always come back to the WWE now with Triple H at the helm. When Vince McMahon was there, you couldn't come back like this. And it would be nice to see him do this. Or if he does come back to WWE, how about reinvent yourself down in NXT and then come back again? You can always do that. And but Ricochet needs to make a move. He's 40 years old right now, and he's like LA Knight. He needs to start getting some championships behind him, because if not, his career, and the older you get, Peter, you know how that can be.
Yeah, the older you get, Father Time is undefeated.
Yes,
Even if you
exactly.
do steroids, it's still undefeated. Vashawn, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. The Liv and Dom situation is getting interesting. We can definitely shift gears into that. What do you make of that? Because it certainly seems like Morgan eventually is not only going to be with Dom, because she said it, she wants to take everything from Rhea, including Mysterio, calling him daddy instead of him calling Rhea mommy. She may be the leader of Judgment Day. What do you think about this whole storyline, how this is going to play out?
Well, Rhea Ripley's hurt. She's not there. And what's happening now is they've come up with this storyline with Liv Morgan. It's going to be interesting to see what Rhea does when she comes back. I'd like to see her come back and beat the crap out of Liv Morgan. I'm not a Rhea Ripley fan, but I really can't stand Liv Morgan for the way she's conducted herself right now. And I think it's time for Rhea Ripley to come back and get what's hers, and Liv Morgan to go somewhere. Dom, on the other hand, I think is going to join that faction with Escobar, Carla, and that group there. I think he's going to end up joining that group because he's been doing a lot of things with Escobar, and I believe he's going to probably join that group.
All right, going back to it, the Ricochet situation, PWInsider.com reports that a creative pitch has been made to capitalize on the buzz surrounding Ricochet's free agency status as much as possible before WWE contract expires. The report notes that eternal discussions have been taking place about the possibility of featuring the future of Flight on WWE TV one last time. So do you think it is a free agency thing where he leaves, he's written off the show, or once again, it's Triple H and Creative playing games with us and making us watch this programming with Ricochet getting a big time push with the fans?
I think Triple H is playing games. I think that it's always about drama with WWE and wrestling. It's always been told to be a male soap opera. So we're going to find out what happens here. I'd be interesting to see if he does stay with the WWE. But you know what, Peter, Triple H and the creative team, they got to come up with something for this guy because right now he has nothing. He's just wrestling, and they need to come up with something. Put him in a faction maybe or something. I read some reports this week, and I think you and I maybe can discuss it, that Drew McIntyre's, when he gets the title, is supposed to, if he wins, is supposed to be starting a faction. And I heard Sheamus is his first guy, and I heard Braun Strowman and a few other guys.
Yeah, see, and to me, I think McIntyre, he may not win the belt. Of course, Clash at the Castle.
But we don't know that, though.
Right,
not yet.
Saturday at 2 o'clock in Glasgow, Scotland. To me, you got to give him the title, although the storyline is already there with CM Punk coming back and possibly CM Punk screwing him out of the title. Do you take the title off of, and I'm trying to think of what his name is, Damian Priest?
Yeah.
Off of him after, and it hasn't necessarily been the most inspiring title run along with Cody. At least Cody is, wrestled guys. I haven't seen a lot of impressive matches, impressive promos from Priest.
No.
So maybe you take the belt off of Drew McIntyre and then eventually set up CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, or could you screw him because CM Punk comes out and cost him the opportunity to get the title?
I think CM Punk's going to do that at this pay-per-view, Peter. We haven't seen CM Punk since WrestleMania, I believe. So I'm assuming he can come out and possibly be the guy who actually cost Drew McIntyre the match, and then set up for a match coming up at SummerSlam or one of those other pay-per-views, Money in the Bank, perhaps. I'd like to see CM Punk get back into the championship field. Now it's starting to get crowded, Peter. We have a lot of guys who have a lot of talent, and they're starting to creep up in there, like CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and some of these other guys.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And again, this storyline with Liv and Dom will continue to play out.
Yes, it's going to play out.
play out. He was making her moves, and I think eventually Dom is going to give in. That's the way it goes. If you guys want to talk about professional wrestling when it comes to WWE or AEW, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's Turnbuckle Talk. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. Now, there has been a show out there, and I don't know if you watched it on Vice. It's Who Killed WCW. Now,
yes, I watched the first episode, I believe it is. I haven't watched the other ones yet.
Give me your initial thoughts on the first episode, because what I got out of this is Hogan and his creative power is what really doomed WCW from the aspect of, the Sting payoff in 97. You build that storyline up from 96 where Sting goes away. He's in the rafters. He's Crow. You build it up. He's against the NWO. Finally, the people get what they want. And then Bischoff and Hogan don't feel like Sting is all in it. You have the screwy finish there with Bret Hart coming out. And it was just screwed up. And that was because of Hogan. Hogan in the Jarrett situation where Jarrett lays down and Hogan pins him. And then comes out and says, this is the reason why this situation is screwed up. The finger poke of doom, reuniting the NWO. To me, there were so many good things about WCW back in the day, but really Hogan, as much as I love him and as much as, he definitely, he was a pioneer for the business, probably, the greatest wrestler of all time that, broke through everything. He probably was one of the main reasons why WCW was killed. What do you say?
Hey, look at this, Peter. You forgot about when he was management of TNA. He screwed that up too. So he's not a good creative person. He stinks. I mean, look what he did at TNA. Nothing for Dixie Carter. She ended up firing him. And then you know what? Vince Russo screwed both companies as well. Vince Russo was only good because Vince McMahon made him good. And he didn't have Vince McMahon to go to when he was screwing things up. And that's why Vince Russo screwed things up. And that's exactly what happened there. And, and Ted Turner too, you got to blame him because when he sold that company, he should have told them, look, you got to keep this wrestling thing going because who he sold it to was not a wrestling company. They don't even want wrestling. And that was AOL, Time Warner.
A lot of people would say Eric Bischoff. A lot of people would say Vince Russo. A lot of people would say Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. We'll get back to that in a moment. But
well, the overpaid wrestlers, Peter. They paid everybody all this money and didn't have it. And then their fans started not going to the events. And then the screw job and everything. They started going like into the Mall of America. I mean, you don't have that much room in Mall of America for this. That kind of thing. So AEW now is starting to get smaller crowds. They're starting to do like TNA and go into a smaller place. So WWE's on top right now when it comes to everything else. But getting back to this WCW thing, I think it was Vince Russo, Hulk Hogan, and Ted Turner.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a combination. And I'm on TikTok Live right now. I want to interact with those people. Also, for love of TikTok. Hi, Peter. I see you. Thank you very much. Brianna, FYP, thank you very much for tuning in as always. And thank you very much for the rose, Miss Yasina, right there. Appreciate all the gifts. I think Brianna also gave me a coin there, so I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for tuning in there. We're trying to build this channel up. And then also on Instagram Live, no comments. Your comments tonight are kind of screwy because they're not coming in. I know usually more Facebook comments. It's just one of those nights where StreamYard and Facebook kind of want to try to screw me over and try to play with me.
They're doing the same thing to me, Peter. So, I mean,
because I'm going to continue to do my show, whether there's comments or not, because what you learn in broadcasting school is plan for a 2-hour show without phone calls and comments, and we got you covered. Now, going back to Ric Flair had some comments. Woo! Boy, oh boy, did he have some comments. He said about the whole killing of WCW. I tried to lay low on this, but let's face it. Who killed WCW? It's a three-headed monster. Jim Herd, which is weird, but the guy did fire him in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s. He wasn't, and of course, Rick goes to WWE or WWF at the time with the big gold belt. After he's fired, he's the champion. So that was a mistake. And of course, he's rehired. but he wasn't even a part of WCW back then, so I just think Rick is just going off. At Eric Bischoff and at the Vince Russo. There is no individual wrestler or faction that caused anything to kill WCW. It was the people in charge that created the dysfunction, animosity, and tried to divide and conquer by lying to everyone involving themselves in the promotion, which was the ultimate failure. God, I could give you, wow, he just goes up. God, I could give you 1,000 more examples. I'm one to live through all three nightmares and to be saved by the at WWE. Thank you to WWE for bringing someone who was dead in the water as a result of these three people back to life. Of course, Flair retired in 2022, actually had a heart attack. So he's lucky to be alive. That guy survived.
Came back last year and had a last match, teamed up with Andrade. That was,
His son-in-law there, who's married to Charlotte, his daughter, who is a talented wrestler, out with injury right now. But what do you think of these comments? And then Ric Flair kind of backtracks a little bit to what he said. But do you agree with them? Is it Eric Bischoff? Is it Vince Russo? Is it not the wrestlers? Is it not the faction that killed WCW, in your opinion?
Well, it could be Eric Bischoff, too, because don't forget, Peter, he's the one that gave Hulk Hogan creative power. So if you give somebody that kind of power, it's your fault too. So maybe we should put Eric Bischoff in this list of the three people that I think killed it beside that. And anyway, don't forget, Hulk Hogan was down in his career. He needed to become a heel because his career was starting to go down the toilet a little bit after his WWE days, or WWF at the time.
Right.
After those days, he needed to be a heel in WCW. He resurrected his career by doing that. And then he went back to WWE as Mr. America and all this other whatever he was doing. And then he went to TNA and became management. He screwed that up. So Hulk Hogan has made a lot of stupid mistakes in his career as management in both places. Eric Bischoff, on the other hand, became the general manager with the WWE after Vince McMahon said he would never, ever hire him again or at all, and ended up doing so for what's best for business. Vince Russo, he's sitting out there doing his own little podcast, maybe cleaning toilets or something, because I haven't seen him do any kind of management stuff anywhere. And like I said before, he had Vince McMahon to look up to when he made a mistake. Now he has nobody. He's on his own and things like that. So that's how he screwed it up. And as far as, and then also too many egos. You had Jeff Jarrett, you had Hulk Hogan, you had Ric Flair, you had Sting. Sting don't really have much of an ego, but what I'm saying is you had too many, what they say, too much beans in the soup or too much broth in the soup. Well, that's what happened with WCW.
Well, and I got an update here on TikTok. I got 99 roses there, so I don't have 99 problems. I got 99 roses there. Thank you very much, Brianna.
You and I need to talk because you got to tell me how to get on Instagram and TikTok. So
we'll try to figure that out, my friend. We'll try to figure out this whole situation. But thank you very much, Miss McMahon. I appreciate that. I know you're a big time Bucs fan. You're watching Turnbuckle Talk
McMahon.
Right now. Yes, her name is McMahon. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Open phone lines if you want to talk WWE, AEW action. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Live on Instagram, live TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You got to love it here. Turnbuckle Talk, WWE, AEW action. Now, Ric Flair walked it back. He's walking it back, my friend. Now, here's what Eric Bischoff had to say, and then we'll get out to what Rick had to say. He goes back and forth on this. It's like somebody told him, hey, man, you crossed the line there, or you were drunk, you're tweeting, something along those lines. Eric says, I'm sure Rick has his opinions, and they're real to Rick in his mind. He still feels strongly about it, obviously, but it doesn't mean he's right. It's just his opinion. It would be like me saying, well, wait, I produced over 5,000 hours of primetime television. I should be able to wrestle a 20-minute match, and I should be able to critique Ric Flair's matches. Now, this morning, Flair posted an apology to all three men on X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, in which he acknowledges both Russo and Bischoff responses to his claim. It doesn't sound like we get that pay-per-view, but Nate says we'll appear on 83 Weeks to hash things out. So he's going to appear on 83 Weeks, which is the podcast, of course, because Eric Bischoff ruled WCW or ruled WWF at the time, now WWE, for 83 weeks in the ratings with his podcast. He says, a very important person in my life reminded me yesterday that Twitter is the weakest form of communication. No stuff, Rick. It is a toxic cesspool, if you will. I want to take this opportunity to apologize to Jim Hurd, at Eric Bischoff, and at the Vince Russo, because I really don't know. I unfairly judged you without knowing the inner workings of behind the scenes of the business on the corporate end with people you had to report to and work with. I wish on a personal note that all three of us could have worked together and had better relationships. For Vince calling me the GOAT, I appreciate that. You did help my son pursue his dream in wrestling, and I'm going to do Eric Bischoff's podcast, but it won't be to bury anybody. It is to discuss our differences. At The Rock is making a movie on my life, and I'm in a great place. I hope this can be all put behind us. So most likely with somebody in The Rock's camp, hey, you got to walk this back. We're doing this. We're doing that. I mean, and by the way, update here, the Dallas Mavericks lose to the Boston Celtics. They're now down 3-0 in the final.
Yeah,
series.
I want the Celtics in this. I've always been a Celtics fan for many years.
Well,
I stopped following the NBA when Jordan got out.
Well, and Jerry West passed away today at 60 years old. So we
a lot of depth in the NBA. You have Bill Walton and now Jerry West, and
we're getting old, my friend. We're getting old.
I know. Yeah,
not getting old. These responses on TikTok. Brianna says, "Keep doing a great job, Peter. Go Bucs! Absolutely, go Bucs!
How about them Bucs, baby?
Go Bucs! Go Bucs!" All right, thank you very much for all that TikTok roses. Let's go out to Mr. Curtis from Newport Richey, one of my favorite webheads. Welcome to Turnbuckle Talk. You're on with yours truly, along with the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, here on the Evolution on a happy
Hump Day
edition. What's on your mind tonight, boss?
Yo, what's up, Ralphie? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Curtis? Man, it's good to hear from you again. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's just another beautiful day, man. Pete.
Oh, Florida, I bet.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I missed you guys on Monday. I'm Ubering around on my spare time there. I'm talking to people, sports fans. I'm trying to promote this and make money at the same time. But damn, I love being behind the wheel. Don't get me wrong. I love working 4 jobs and trying to make as much money as possible because I don't got a wife and kids. But I love being behind this mic in front of a camera. I do.
Having a wife and kids is overrated sometimes.
We always talk about that.
Well, you know what, Peter? I like being on the mic too, but I wanted to always be, on a radio station mic or something. But every time I end up doing that in this town, something happens. So I just
just keep on doing what you're doing, man.
What I'm doing, yeah.
You will do what you want to do. Curtis, what is on your mind tonight? What do you think about this fiasco? The comments from Ric Flair on who killed WCW, Eric Bischoff, Jim Hurd. I haven't heard from Jim Hurd in 25 freaking years. He's still against him.
Let's
go ahead
and check. Let's go ahead. Let me phone on speakerphone so I can keep it away from my face.
Yes.
Listen, I think all of us who watched the Attitude Era form in WCW, it was hard not to be a fan of both.
Right.
It was hard. If you weren't a fan of both, you were different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go in and say that because I was personally one of those people that flipped back and forth. Like when one was on commercial, I was on the other one.
Yeah.
I did the same.
And,
by the way, I got to update again. She not only sent 99, she sent another 99. So
you're having fun with that TikTok, aren't you, Peter?
Yeah, I love getting roses here. I never get roses. I'm getting roses. It's like wine and roses here on the Evolution. I'm getting them 200 right there. So great stuff. Thank you very much, ladies. It's the ladies tonight that's showing out, not the guys that are giving roses or prizes. It's the ladies. I love you, ladies. That's why I love the sports web. It's all about that. It's all about not only yes.
You keep saying stuff, you're going to have a wife soon.
We'll see, my friend. We'll definitely see how that works out. I don't know if I have time to even sleep at this point, let alone have a wife or kids. Yeah.
For some reason, those women always find a way to make sure you make time for them. So anyway,
Yes.
Let's change the subject.
Well,
Go
hold
back
on.
to
I
what
got to
we
read this comment because this funny ass right here. About time a woman showed interest in you. Laugh out loud. Right there, two giant goofballs. We got to get you on. I want to get the scouting report on Shepard and Brederson. So we definitely do that. We got to work together, my friend. Miss you here, Mr. Andrew Goofball. Appreciate you as always. All right, go ahead, Curtis.
I think that Bischoff and the NWO killed WCW.
Why do you think that?
I mean, the show was basically all about them.
Correct.
I'm going to tell you something. If you really went back and like you tried to watch some of that old WCW had a ton of talent.
Yes.
They did not promote their talent.
They did not. Namely, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko.
Dude, I was the biggest Dean Malenko fan.
Chris Benoit. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember the Radicals came out?
Yes.
Saturn.
The only
Rey
part.
Mysterio with no mask.
Raven. What about me?
What about me? What about the Raven? Yeah. What about? You're exactly right. And that's the problem with the NWO. It was a great storyline. You had Kevin Nash. You had Scott Hall. God bless his soul. I can't believe he's gone. You got Hogan. Of course, those three guys. They revolutionized the business.
It got stale, guys. Simple as that.
Well,
That's it.
And guess what?
Yeah.
It did. And then it got interesting again when they did the red and black with the Wolfpack. But then even that got dry.
Well, it got dry. Yeah. You did the finger poke of doom because you had a legitimate match with Hogan and Kevin Nash. And I'll never forget it because they gave away the results that night of, I believe it was
on Monday Night Raw. They were talking about what WCW was doing.
And everybody, when they heard that result from Tony Schiavone, which was, asked by Bischoff to do that, they turned their channels. It made no sense at all. Why are you making any
promoting someone else's show? Yeah.
Right, to promote yourself, and then everybody's built up. They're all invested. Like, okay, you could get over doing what you did to Sting because Sting got the belt, but it was a terrible finish. It wasn't the payoff like you had at WrestleMania 40 with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Rock and everybody else. It wasn't like that. It could have been that, but you couldn't get over the way that was done. That was ended.
The way Goldberg lost the title just was a joke. It was just a lot of stuff, man. And Bischoff did whatever he wanted to, and nobody could stop him from doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
See, the problem with WCW, Curtis and Peter, is the fact that they didn't know how to put their factions in the right place or put them together and things like that. WWE, when they have a faction, if you take a look at it, the faction doesn't run the program. WWE puts it together to where the factions don't run the program. NWO, like Curtis said, was running the program there, and it was getting stale.
Yeah, it was getting stale, and they didn't do anything different with it.
Every Monday night, it ended the same.
Yep.
NWO ended up beating somebody up in the ring, spray painting their NWO on their back.
Yep.
And that was how the show went off every Monday night.
Yep.
And then you had fans throwing stuff in the ring.
Right.
I mean,
well, it's like a regular TV program, guys. You have certain segments. There were no segments there. They just did whatever. I think they just like rolled a dice or tossed up a coin, figuring out what they were going to do. At least WWE has everything structured. It's not. It was never structured in WCW.
See, to me, it wasn't Eric Bischoff that ended it. I know that he was the leader of NWO. I know he knew all those guys and handed out all that guaranteed money. I definitely think Vince Russo. When
he's on my list.
When you make David Arquette, I love David Arquette as an actor. He's not a wrestler. He was great and ready.
Rampage Jackson isn't either.
Come on, Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman. Are you serious?
That was actually a decent match, but David Arquette is the champion. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
and then you had Jay Leno.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, the thing about it is, and like I told somebody the other day.
Yeah.
I saw the whole Sexy Red thing on NXT the other day.
Yes.
But you have to promote towards women. I mean, let's. God, I hate this.
Was it funny? Was it fun? Was it not fun? I mean, did you see the reel where she's singing "Sexy Boy" with Shawn Michaels? I mean, and
Yes.
people are watching that. Right.
And what I was going to say was, it's great for the business. Like, come on, and I hate that I'm going to say this. What did Taylor Swift do for the NFL?
Oh, amazing! She made all kinds of money. People cared about it. It didn't necessarily appeal to the hardcore football fan.
No, but you have to do it the right way.
Right, to the fringe fan.
Do it the right way.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
And if you do it the right, that was the problem with WCW. You're absolutely right, Ralph. WCW did not promote it the right way.
No.
Like,
no structure, nothing.
We're like this.
That was Russo.
We're comfortable with Logan Paul. We're comfortable with Logan Paul walking around with United States Championship. But if
I don't want him there. I think TKO promised no part-time wrestlers will be champions.
Well,
look what we got.
Definitely talented enough to be, the champion. In my opinion, he's done enough.
But could you see Logan Paul as the heavyweight champion?
No.
I think eventually he could. I think eventually he'll work to that point where they'll get to that point where he's a main event guy. I think they will.
But then he has to show up at the shows and wrestle, Peter. He can't be this part-time champion like Brock Lesnar.
Well,
I mean, Roman Reigns at least wrestled a few times in some of the shows. He was part-time, but he wasn't all that part-time.
But it kind of offers guys. What it does is Roman Reigns was able to do that because it offers mystique to it, and I think he
Roman
can have.
Roman was also fighting his sickness too.
Correct.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like,
correct.
Because before, when he retired the first time for the leukemia, before that, Roman was there every day.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And TKO, Curtis, they promised. They said no more part-time champions, and here we are. We have one, Logan Paul.
And that's why I love Seth Rollins. Like, I knew Seth was going to show up every Monday.
Yeah.
I was just telling Peter earlier, they need to put a championship on LA Knight. He's in his 40s. He needs a championship in the WWE. They gave it to AJ Styles when he got here. You know what I mean? So let's do something with LA Knight with a championship.
But like Curtis said, it's good for the brand because again, you get the fringe fan, and because Logan Paul is so heavy into social media, and you have all this social media. I mean, this is what.
Well, good. Let him stay there and go do that.
Well,
and promote his energy drink and all that stuff.
I will tell you this.
Yeah.
It is so hard for me to watch Damian Priest as the champion.
He's not.
Peter and I talked about that earlier, Curtis.
I mean, if you listen,
I'm just not convinced.
Curtis, on Saturday at the Clash at the Castle, what would you like to see? Would you like to see Drew McIntyre take the belt off of him, or do you think CM Punk once again screws McIntyre in Scotland?
No, I would rather see Drew. I think Drew is going to take it off of him.
Okay.
Because I think what's going to happen is, I think CM Punk's going to get cleared before SummerSlam.
Right.
I think something's going to happen where it's going to end up being Gunther, Drew, and CM Punk for the title.
Wow.
CM Punk is going to get his way into a championship match with Drew McIntyre because he's in Drew's head.
Sure.
And he's going to do something to weasel his way into not weasel his way, but just to get himself into that championship match. And Gunther's going to be pissed off about it. But guess what? I mean, we would all love to see a triple threat match with those three guys in it.
Yeah.
It'd be a hell of a match.
Oh, it would be. I'm telling you, I think Gunther's title material. World title.
Yeah, he's world title material. Yeah. He's
and here's the thing. I see more champions on Monday than I do on Friday right now.
That's true.
Listen, I like.
Well, that's because of Logan Paul not being there. I mean, that's the bottom line, and not wrestling in a match on SmackDown.
Well, you have Cody.
We're back to Brock Lesnar again.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just I understand why they're trying to do it. It adds mystique to the title, but you're exactly right. It's tough to keep track when you're not.
Are they doing Money in the Bank at SummerSlam?
No, they're going to have their own separate pay-per-view.
They probably are going to have their own separate. And
I think it's in July, I think.
I think Raw.
I think that's the next one.
Raw is going to become the flagship again because they're going on Netflix in 2025.
Yeah,
so.
And then
and WWE blew it with Fox.
They got to do something with Jey Uso.
Well, they will. They will do something with Jey Uso. So I think the Civil War, the Bloodline Civil War, is coming.
That's coming up.
coming because they're going to find out that it's not Solo that is the tribal chief. It's actually The Rock who is making all the decisions in the background. It's going to set up The Rock with his faction of the new bloodline versus the old bloodline with Roman Reigns and the Usos, and most likely, once again, Sami Zayn. I think that is certainly possible.
Or some other cousin involved in this family that'll show up.
I don't know how many family members you got, but they got plenty of family members.
I mean, they could do now. You know
who's still sitting out there, Peter? Jacob Fatu.
Yep.
I think he's an MLW or something.
He's the next one that's there.
Yeah.
I could see them bringing in Seth.
Well, it's possible. It's certainly possible with Seth and his history of Roman.
Seth, Roman, Jay, and Jimmy.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah,
because I mean, it'd be huge.
It would be.
I mean, the thing about it is like I said, they're just the whole Triple H era.
Yeah,
they're getting their feet wet. They're going to get better. It's just going to take a little.
It is. It's definitely going to take some time. Curtis, anything else here on Turnbuckle Talk?
No, that's it tonight, fellas, man. I'm just, I'm getting anxious. I'm waiting for football season. This shit's driving me crazy.
It is, and I believe it's 88 days, my friend. 88 days until football
season.
Come on,
I like summer here. Let's. I want to enjoy it up here. You guys got it down here all year long.
It's too hot. It's too hot for the summer. It's 97 degrees. It feels like my kitchen on a Saturday night. Yeah. Everything burns.
You know what the worst part is, Peter?
Yes.
What was it? I think it was yesterday.
Right.
After it rained and that sun came out, I was like, forget about it.
Right.
But it was ridiculous outside after it rained. And I'm like, man, this just makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all, my friend. I was trying to drive through it with Ubering and everything else. It was just a monsoon, but we got it done. We're on camera tonight. We're doing the show, and definitely tune in on Sunday morning. I believe about 10:30 we'll be live until noon. Giving you a special edition of the Sports Web Father's Day, talking about fathers. I know you may have a story about your father or being a father. Definitely welcome, my friend. Okay.
All right, fellas. You guys take it easy.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good one, Curtis. Nice talking to you again. Thank you.
All right. Let's go back to the Ric Flair comments, and then we will wrap this up for the night here on Turnbuckle Talk. But Russo had this to say after Ric Flair apologized. He said, life is way too short to hold any grievances. Rick, honestly, at this point, I don't have any animosity towards anybody. I am at total peace. I appreciate your words this morning more than you will ever know. God bless you, sir. So there you go. Conan was looking to fight this morning as he had these comments on who really killed WCW. He said, I never thought it was Hogan who killed WCW. Of course, Conan, a part of the NWO at the time, and the Filthy Animals with Rey Mysterio, of course. I always thought it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. As a matter of fact, I said Eric Bischoff hitched his wagon to Hogan and said the other guys because they were the ones coming up with the cool ideas. They were the cool factor. Hogan, the one that said, bro, I'm getting booed. I've got to do something to resurrect my career. Kevin Sullivan and Eric were the ones that convinced him to turn heel. They had to sequester him to make sure he didn't change his mind or somebody got in his ear, whatever was going on. So what do you think about that from Conan saying in so many words, it wasn't Hogan, it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash who killed WCW with, of course, the guaranteed money and the demons, Scott Hall off the ring, off the mat there, and Kevin Nash being a booker at some point.
Yeah. I got that information once from, and I don't know if you're familiar with this name, Mark Madden.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Mark has a show here in Pittsburgh, and he used to do a wrestling segment. He no longer does one because him and Ric Flair got into some kind of a situation. And he said the wrestling business is nothing but a bunch of backstabbers, so he no longer participates. But anyway, Mark said that it was Kevin Nash was the head booker at the time when he was there. Yeah. So with him being a booker and everything else, that may be another thing we could throw in, another name, who killed WCW. It's still going to be a mystery because everybody's going to have their opinion on it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Everybody's going to have their opinion, and I'm going to watch the second episode. I watched the first episode. I enjoyed it.
When's the second one? Tonight, right? Or tomorrow?
Second one is every Tuesday. Every Tuesday night they have an edition. I think there's 2 more episodes left besides.
Well, what time on Tuesday? 10 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir, on Vice.
Shoot, I missed it.
All right,
well,
I'll send it to you where it's at. I'll find it and see if we can get it there.
I watched it on YouTube, the first one.
I did too.
Okay.
So we'll see if we can watch again. On WCW's firing X-Pac, Sean Waltman. To me, when they fired X-Pac, because I was there, I was friends with them, and they were sitting in the arena, and they were hot as a mother effer. They had shirts on, like button-down shirts, and they opened up their shirts, and they had WWE shirts. On Scott Hall and Kevin Nash acting out after Waltman was fired, they were willing to go up into the effing ring, open up their shirts, show WWE, and support X-Pac. When Eric fired X-Pac, they took their ball and went home, meaning they were not giving any more ideas. They weren't coming in on time. They weren't playing anymore. It's just the jealousy and everybody cutting each other's throats. And Hogan always looking up for himself. That was a part of the reason. So Hogan was always looking up for himself. That was a part of the reason. The New World Order consisting of Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2020. So some great comments there. Your thoughts, because it seemed like when they did fire X-Pac, Sean Waltman, who was a part of that clique in WWF at the time, he said it best. They kind of took their ball and went home. They were not giving out any more ideas. So maybe he is correct in this assessment that it was Kevin Nash and Scott Hall who really killed WCW.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you have a guy like Kevin Nash who's a booker, and if he's booking these matches and everything's working out, and then all of a sudden they leave, and you got Vince Russo or some the janitor perhaps, or somebody, booking these matches and things like that, then you got big problems. And for them to leave because of Bischoff firing Sean Waltman, and everybody, there's a lot of people, Peter, that are part of this problem or part of this failure of WCW. There's a lot of them. I mean, I named 4 people, but there's a long list of people that took this down, and it's a shame. It really is, because it was a great Monday Night War when it happened, and it made WWE step up their game. Several wrestlers had said if it wasn't for WCW competing against us, we had to step up our game. And that makes you step up your game when you have competition. And now WWE has stepped up their game because they have a whole heap of competition now.
They do. You're exactly right about that, and that's always a good thing. I think competition for the wrestling business is great, as much as we talk about
keeps you on your toes. And I mean, because when WWE was the only thing going at one point, they were it. That was matches were horrible, things were hey, that was it. And I always say this when I DJ. I DJ parties and weddings and stuff like that, Peter, and sometimes people get drunk. And I always say this, I could throw out any song and they would dance to it. WWE fans, you could have sucky matches and they would still show up. So there you go.
There you go, my friend. Good stuff there from Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg. Now Sabu, a ECW legend. You remember Sabu and some of the crazy
yes.
he did. He announced his retirement later this year. Retirements in wrestling have a reputation of not sticking, and more often than not, a wrestler believes that they have one more match in them.
They always do that. Yes.
Yes. Appearing in conversations with the Wrestling Classic, the former ECW champion stated that he wanted to compete in one more match, and that GCW asked him to compete in January 2025, which he declined. My goal is to work out until the last match. I know the last match isn't tomorrow. GCW wants me to do my last match with them in January. I said, I don't know if I'll be ready. I don't want my last match in January. I want it in July. I want it in Las Vegas. Sabu said that he's not ready for a final match just yet, but he did admit that AEW was an option. He says, I'm going to have a final match eventually. I'm not in shape for it yet. I'm hurting too much, but I'm hoping my pain eases up. I'm sure it will. I like to maybe do my final match with AEW because they have a big platform and, of course, a big paycheck. So there you go.
Well, Well, you know what? Sabu and Tommy Dreamer and some of these other guys. Tommy Dreamer, I believe, is no longer affiliated with TNA. I think he's with Memphis Wrestling now, or he's doing something like that. There's some, but I mean, my idea to Sabu would be hook up with one of your old friends from ECW, and TNA has Rhino, and so Bully Ray, maybe and I don't know if he's going to be working at WWE or if that just was a one-time thing with Devon Dudley coming out. But again, you need to hook up with some of the guys that you worked with back in the past with ECW, and then figure out what you're going to do for your last match.
Well, listen, he was the special enforcer for the Adam Cole Chris Jericho match in Double or Nothing in 2023. I got the match for him. Him versus John Moxley.
That would be a great match.
Because Moxley likes he likes the blood. He likes the gore. He's a hardcore guy. You get Sabu in his final match there. You create some type of storyline, or you don't, because AEW doesn't do that. They're not really storytellers.
Yeah.
They focus on matches or whatever else. You have that match. I think that would definitely sell. What do you say?
Absolutely, it would, Peter. I think it would sell. And you're right. And you know what? AEW could get a boost in ratings. There's a lot of ECW fans still out there. They still yell it out at different wrestling events. I can't wait until June 23rd, because I'm going to this one. My friend Bubba Brewer, who's a promoter in Indiana, PA, is putting on a show, his new show for Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. He said he was possibly going to call tonight, Peter, and join our show. But he said it depends on if he could get free to do so. So
we'll have to have him on sometime in the future. Ralph,
yeah, I had him on yesterday on my Sports Corner show. I do a wrestling segment. Yep. I had him on, and we were talking about wrestling, and he's been on other shows I've had on Blog Talk Radio and whatnot.
Good stuff, my friend. Appreciate the time here. We'll see you next week here on Turnbuckle Talk. All right.
Yeah, I'll be here, man. And you can get me on Ralph Williams RW Media on Twitter or on YouTube. And I'm also on Twitter X. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Facebook. But I can't broadcast on Facebook because of their new rules. So I'm looking at other platforms. I'm on Instagram. I got to take a look at TikTok and some other stuff to get on because of Facebook. Thank you, Facebook. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I think Facebook is just a problem right now. It's just a glitch. It'll be cleared up. But we'll definitely talk off air about it. All right, my friend?
Yeah, we need to do that. I want to talk to you about a bunch of other stuff too, plus Instagram and TikTok and some other things too. I know you're working 4 jobs, but I need some help with a couple things, and I was wondering if you could help me out.
I got you, my friend. I'm definitely here for you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. Good stuff there on Turnbuckle Talk. Let's go out to Baker Mayfield today, who talked to the media about the signing of Sterling Shepard, of course, and some other things. Bucs fans, you got to love this time of the year. It's right around the corner. The Bucs are coming to town. I feel like it's Christmas, right? Santa Claus is coming to town. The Bucs are coming to town. You're getting ready to see training camp, and then all of a sudden, preseason, and then the regular season starts. But here's Baker Mayfield today talking to the media here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy.
It's been great. Obviously, losing DT, I'm not going to speak on that, but just guys being down, had a couple guys, just some little muscle injuries here and there. So down on receivers, needed some guys that to come in and step up. And he's a veteran guy that's going into year 9. Had some injuries in the past, but he's looking for a fresh start. Obviously, I can relate to that part. Obviously our scouting department knows everybody that's out there. It was just more so making sure he's coming here for a tryout, and he handled the rest. And I think just in these last 2 days, him, picking up this offense pretty quickly. And obviously it's always a work in progress, but it's great to have him here. He's a guy that's always got a smile on his face, works his tail off, and just he brings a little juice, when it comes to the mental side of things. He gets fired up. So it's good to have him back. One of the longtime friends that, good to have him back.
He said that you texted him and he saw your name flash on the screen, but he left you on red. He kept working out. He did legs that day. He squatted, I want to say, in excess of 400 pounds.
He probably lied about that.
Well, but the thing is that what he gets though for leaving you on red and not responding right away? And all of a sudden he gets it after the workout. He finds out they want to bring him in the next day, and he's like, the plates were like, no.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But no, obviously just checking in with him. I didn't know they were going to pull the trigger on a tryout the next day. I had no idea. But yeah, obviously, like I said, once they got him in, he did the rest. It's, he's a good enough player to make it here, but bringing in competition like that's always good for everybody. So he knows he's got to handle his business just to make this team. We got a good team, and just having better skill groups is going to push everybody around him.
So much success in Norman together. You've gone back and watched games, obviously been on the sideline. Did y'all ever talk about getting a chance to play together at some point? I know that probably not so much at that point.
Yeah.
Kind of fantasizing about it.
Yeah, I mean, any of your college teammates is always kind of one of those things you talk about. It'd be so cool to play with each other in the league. And, but yeah, obviously took a little bit longer for us to get there, and yeah, happy to have him now. No chance. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, just having some guys down, I think, helped that cause of having some openings. But yeah, just anytime, and you talk to those guys frequently especially during game weeks when we're doing scouting reports and all that. So just having a good relationship with those guys that we're all on the same page, but ultimately they call those shots, and my job is to play football and do it at a high level. So just trusting them, and they trust me on my opinion of what type of guy he is. They'll evaluate the talent. Yeah. Yeah, I think still extremely similar to what I mentioned the first time I talked to you guys after having him here for OTAs. Really friendly at the top of his routes, attacks the ball, catches with his hands, and just explosive, the smooth route runner. And just so now having him put it all together in the offense, get all these alerts, these cans, and playing fast, I think for him is really the next step of really mastering this offense, and so he can use that physical talent that he has.
Victor, you come to Tampa last year. You got Rashad, Michael, Chris, Trey, Cade. And then this organization drafts another tight end, another running back, another wide receiver, in addition to a couple free agents they've sprinkled in. But I mean, is this as well stocked an arsenal that you've had at any stop?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's anytime you get that much familiarity and chemistry with the same guys, you're going to get better too. But it also helps when they're that damn good as a skill group. So for me, yeah, it's up there, but talent can only take you so far. That's why we're working our tails off right now to get this whole thing down and get on the same page. But yeah, it's definitely a great group to be surrounded by. And obviously, yeah, the offensive line too, having some of those same guys, some new additions. And it's just right now, it's a really good feel of how everybody works and works together.
How do you create that chemistry and that camaraderie when you have you guys on the offensive line? Make sure that you keep them happy so they keep you upright.
It's offensive line is always a herd mentality. And as quarterbacks, you want to be a part of that with them. And just they set the tone. Like that room as a whole always works really well together. It's very rare to have a guy in there that's disrupting that herd mentality. So for those guys, the new guys step in, they kind of watch the veterans, the guys that have been here, and just kind of fall into line. And but yeah, it's been a great group, and it's going to continue to be that way.
When you come back, Victor, you get ready for the command,
Yeah.
What will you do between now and then, if anything, aside from resetting yourself?
Yeah.
What's going to be key for you next 5 weeks?
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer with this break, take a little bit of time off, get away from it for a little bit, and just obviously making sure you're still in shape, but enjoying your time off because it is a long season, a long grind. So workouts, a couple of vacations sprinkled in here and there, but then just dialing it back down once it comes time closer to camp. And yeah, just reviewing with those guys when we get back here. The biggest thing for anybody coming down here for training camp is how hot it is. So coming back, getting reacclimated in this heat, working out outside, running outside. And so for me, that's, yeah, take a little time off, then get used to it again.
Speaking of time off, you get to celebrate your first Father's Day this weekend. Any plans?
I don't think so. Maybe around a golf, probably just watching golf on TV. Yeah.
Are you getting rest?
Yeah, sleeping through the night. So we're a happy family right now. So we're enjoying that. She's good. She's good. She's a rock star. You have a different appreciation for moms now that you get to watch somebody that you're very close with get to go through in life. So she's a rock star. Can't say enough about that.
What have you seen out of the growth of Cade from last year?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the guys that came during who's got a lot of expectations from you.
Yeah, Payne's definitely taken that next step of rookie year is a little bit hard, but he's definitely taken that next step and being way more accountable to himself. And Cade's doing the same thing, though, setting the tone for those guys. Obviously, he's a really quiet guy, so he does it in his own way, but he sets the tone. He takes as many reps as anybody out here, so it's always impressive. But, yeah, I think Devin's watching those guys too, and obviously Tanner is playing great right now too, a guy that has a lot of physical traits, and so that's a good room. It's a young room, but it's a really good room.
How do you think these guys are taking to the new offense? Because Rashad yesterday was like, this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You've been familiar.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's why we do this time right now. It is hard, but that's why you put stuff on tape. You learn from your mistakes and the good stuff. So like today, the last couple of days being really competitive with the defense, it's a lot of learning tape to go from there. But you can tell our guys are starting to figure it out, and that's what you really want to have at this point of the off season, to where you kind of master it a little bit, and then you come back and start from scratch during training camp, reinstall everything to where guys have kind of a little knowledge of it, and you go from there. He is. I guess Duke's academic program is pretty good. Yeah.
We were talking about Cade for a second. Did that connection with him really kind of come on towards the end of the season? You look at those in the playoff games, the Eagles game, 8 catches, 89 yards, the touchdown, the Lions game. Is that something that just kind of really built as the season went on?
Yeah. Trust happens over time, for sure. But then obviously, when you have guys like Mike and Chris that are down the field. For me, it was taking what's there at the back half of the year. When it comes to just finding completions, getting the ball in their hands. I think I said it 1,000 times last year, just finding completions, getting in their hands, let them do the rest. So for Cade, it's, we will have some plays drawn up for him for sure, just with the guy he is, but also on the plays that are drawn up for Mike and Chris, he's going to be a guy that's going to be left open. So he's got to take advantage of those.
What made Shep a couple more teammates back at Oklahoma?
Shep's always been a family man. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable teammate in terms of his work ethic. Obviously not the biggest guy, but he works to be able to compete at this level. And just, he's not a selfish guy. It's never been about him. He's always been about, whether it was Oklahoma football, obviously with his dad playing there, he was, always a program guy. And then in the NFL, it's always, how do you win? And so he carries that same mentality and works his tail off to do it.
You look at that NFC championship game, Lions, 49ers, both of those teams had your number last year, Lions twice. You get them both again this year. I don't know if you look at the schedule and mentally maybe circle some games in the back of your mind. You have the Lions in week 2. Is that, what are your thoughts on that?
Obviously it's a really good test early for us. But every season's different. And I mean, even when you look at, last year we squeaked into the playoffs, and anything can happen after that. So it's still a one game at a time mentality once you get to the year. But when you play those teams that are constantly good, you got to be ready for that competition. And like I said, the Lions test early on is going to be good for us to see how quickly we're starting and how quickly our guys are learning this offense and are ready to adjust on the fly.
Thanks. All right. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about, some sights and sounds there. From Baker Mayfield, circling that game there, early test versus the Lions. Who could forget that? Bucs had their chances in that game, just weren't able to. They weren't talented enough. They weren't talented up front enough. They weren't talented in the back end. And then of course Baker ends with an interception. Was that all his fault? No, it wasn't all his fault. It's a tough throw. At the end of the day, you're trying to come back. You would like to not be in that position. It wasn't the best throw, and of course, that's on his mind. The Lions game is on his mind. San Francisco, of course, later on, that gauntlet in the middle of the year of this schedule with Kansas City, with San Francisco, of course, definitely on a lot of Bucs fans' minds, not only the Bucs players themselves and the organization, but a lot of Bucs fans looking forward to this year. So Prisco, we talked about it, Pete Prisco, his comments about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are your thoughts? That's all out there on social media. Randy Gregory situation, should the Bucs cut their ties? We'll definitely put that out there. Thanks a lot to the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, and of course, Amped Up Sports. Definitely tune in on Sunday for a special Father's Day edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Of course, Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Thanks a lot for him coming on. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. And, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams there. talking Turnbuckle Talk, WWE, AEW action, Clash at the Castle on Saturday at 2 o'clock in Glasgow, Scotland. So definitely tune in for that. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Like and subscribe on Instagram Live. TikTok, roses are out there. Thanks a lot to Miss Brianna and, of course, Yesenia right there for tuning in, giving roses, Facebook stars, YouTube super chats. If you like the content, give to it. We got, 88 days until football season is here. Guys, I am chopping at the bit. I was thinking about it today. Tune into the JP Peterson Show every day from 10 a.m. to noon, as I'm going to be on there on Wednesday mornings. If you haven't, seen that show, definitely tune into that and do 3 things for me. Even if the Rays fell tonight, sorry about that. They lose to the Cubs 4-3. Brendan Lau not able to be the hero for the second night in a row, but you know him. You love them. You got to have them. 3 things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. We'll see you on Sunday at Belmar Saloon on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Have a great night. And as always, go Bucs.